Just a bloke in a bar.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Bloke in a Bar, brought to you by the beer of sport. The beer of sport. We dedicate, literally, I wake up in the morning, Gurino, I wake up in the morning, and I literally, my whole day is dedicated to sport. I'm looking at articles, I'm looking at different sports, I'm creating posts to give to you guys. If you aren't telling me that's not the beer of sport, then your name isn't Gurino.
It certainly is, so there's your answer.
Grizzly Asm did have a beard. But anyway, grab a case of Bloke in a Bar. If they don't stock it, like a lot of people, because it sells out quickly and because we've got such a small team, sometimes it doesn't get restocked. So just if it's on the store locator and it's sold out or whatever, all you got to do is just like, hey, could you order a couple more cases or whatever through a thing called ALM or ILG, and they'll order it in. But it's going to be a big year for Bloke. We had a very, very small team last year, so it's really hard to keep up with demand. This year, we're really, we've got a little bit of a bigger, not a big team, but it's a bigger team, and we'll be able to keep up with demand a lot more. So get on board. Get on board in the early days. You know what? Bloke beer is the Bitcoin of beers. We may go up, we may go down and crash a little bit, but in the end, we're going to go to the moon, baby. So get on early. Get on early. Tell your kids. How good would it be to tell your kids, I was there in the early days of VB? You'd be like, I fucking remember the first few runs of VB. I tell you what, that'd be pretty good. You can get on that with Bloke. But anyway, we've got Gurino here. How you going, brother?
Good, mate. The Bitcoin of beers is a big day, just quietly.
I mean, look, I am a big day. If there is a meaning of the big day, I am fucking it. How you been, mate? How was your weekend?
Yeah, all good. Had a bucks on the weekend, one of my best mates.
Yep.
So
Was it
dusty?
a bucks in the classical sense or a new age bucks?
Probably halfway, I'd say.
Okay, so he's making some progress towards the new era that exists.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, one of those mates that I wasn't really expecting a massive night out of, but yeah, he certainly delivered. So
wow, okay.
Had a couple of blokes that came up and said hello too. So it's a good night out.
Hey, Matty last week, the Gurino this week. The Bloke ship just keeps rising back. The water rises, the ship rises with it. Or what is it? All rising tides raise all ships, baby. Rising tides raise all ships.
I think they thought I was Mark Tukey, but that's okay. Can't win them all.
I'll take Mark Tukey. He's a cult hero.
Every day of the week.
Fucking, they call me the Beak Bro. That's a way worse fucking nickname. Like, I'm literally called the worst feature about me. That's what my nickname is. So stop your complaining, Tukey. Fuck me. Anyway. We do it every single week. Every week, every episode, I ask how the guest is, and they don't ask how I am. So I'll go fuck myself again. It doesn't matter how much time. The Beak always asks how you're going. No one ever asks how the Beak's going. No one ever asks how I'm going. Anyway, stores in the spotlight. Stores in the spotlight. We've got Oscar's Liquor Sevens Hill. Oscar's Liquor Sevens Hill. IGA Mascot. Oh, in Mascot. That's
just around the corner.
Just around the corner. Thanks, IGA Mascot. Appreciate you. The Icon. It's on tap. That's down in the Gong. And they've been with us from the start. So get down the Icon. And it's actually a pretty chill, cool place, the Icon. Many a nights down that Crown Street myself and back in the day. Many a night. IGA Kiama Downs. Kiama, how good. Celebrations Appen. Celebrations Scone. Star Liquor Bundock in Townsville. Bundock in Townsville. Get there. East End Hotel, Bundaberg. We're in Bundaberg as well. Liquor Barons, Wembley Downs in Perth. We're going nation, Gurino. We're going nationwide here. Station Hotel, Lismore. Legends, Upper Caboolture. Eagle Tavern, Bean Lee. But what a weekend of sport for Australians. The great Ash Barty, a national hero, wins the Australian Open for the first time since 1978 for an Australian woman. I mean, Guru, walk me through it, but bro, it was incredible. How did you think the game went? How much of a fan of Barty are you?
Yeah, unreal moment. As I said, I was at a Bucks when it was on, so saw bits and pieces of it. Probably not as much as I would have liked, but I thought the celebrations after were unreal. She must have hugged 70 people in that change room.
Yep.
That was unreal. 1978, it's a long time ago.
There's only 5 current players, including the men's, that have won 3 Grand Slams. She is one of the best athletes to come out of this country. But people don't understand, like, she's the world number 1. Like, she's such a gun, and I'm such a fan. And the first set, she comes out, she blows Danielle off the park. Danielle's going, oh, fuck, what's happening? Then Danielle fights. So there's a bit of fight about it. Second set, she's up 5-1. Danielle, 5-1. She only needs to win, like, out of the 2, 3, 4, 5. She only needs 2, 3, 4. She needs to win one fucking set. Is it set rather than game? One set. So what's that? That's 4 points. Like 15, 30, 40.
Four games,
4 points. Four
That's
4 games.
yeah.
I'm deep in the cricket game. I mean, deep in the tennis game. I'm doing my best this summer. I'm doing my fucking best, boys, all right? And girls. I'm trying to give you the content you need. Anyway, she's down 5-1. She wins a set. She wins another set. And you're going, Barty, don't do this to me. Don't get me this excited just to break me heart. I was actually sitting there because I don't have any fucking experience with tennis. Like, obviously, just when Australia plays, I'll
You had
watch
me
it.
fool.
Sorry?
You had me fool.
And so I was sitting there going, like, and maybe this is like bad advice because like you're not battling to the end, but I was like, maybe just drop the set and restart the next set because you're 5-1 down. Why gash yourself when you're clearly the better player? Like, you just need to get back on that roll again. But you know, Barty being a much better person and athlete and just all round human being than me, did the right thing and fucking battled on. Barty the battler. And she gets the job done. Absolutely incredible. The pressure. Like, you know, I know the world's been through a lot lately, but like Australia, in Melbourne, record lockdowns. Like the crazy, like the amount of like hope that was being poured into her and for her to walk out on that court in the moment, not look flustered at all, and she didn't drop a single set the whole Open. I mean, it's God tier. It's God tier. I'm a Barty fan. I said it before the finals. I'm a even bigger fan now. And I just love what she's about. Like, honestly, make her Prime Minister. I'd vote for Barty. Vote for Barty. Vote for Barty.
I was trying to work out the best time during the night, when to go to the bar, because I knew I'd be there for 30 minutes or so. And at 4-1, I thought, okay, it's done.
Yeah,
I'll go now.
Yep.
Came back to a very rude shock.
Yeah. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. So, I mean, talk about doing the country proud. And even just like the little flourishes and touches of brilliance at the end. In the post-match interview, like, you know, she goes through thanking the ball women and ball boys, ball girls and ball boys. But then she says, I'm so proud to be an Aussie. And you just, the whole of Australia just went, she is fucking perfect. So anyway,
I thought it was good as well. Like, I know this was just at my pub, but everywhere that I saw videos of, like, I was at the Clover Valley Hotel and every single person in that pub erupted when she won.
Fucking so good.
Erupted.
Bro. So good. Were you scissoring at the Clover Hotel?
Yeah, between sets.
Now, on to the King Kyrgios and the Cock. Beat fellow Aussie pair, Matt Ebden and Max Purcell. I just want to say quickly, respect to Matt Ebden and Max Purcell. Like, obviously, the King and the Cock, they caught the nation's heart and they were controversial and they were, you know, kind of like attitude tennis to an extent. But Matt Ebden and Max Purcell, you know, and look, this is from a purely casual perspective, but I would assume that their individual talent probably isn't. I mean, obviously not as close as Nick Kyrgios. Nick Kyrgios is literally one of the most talented tennis players in the game. The Cock also very talented. But Matt Ebden and Max Purcell battled to the end. So respect to them. But it was the King and the Cock show. Did you get a chance to watch that?
I did, yeah. And I mean, I have never, I don't have a heap of interest in tennis, but doubles?
No, never.
Never been on the radar. And I was so excited for that. It was... I love what they've done the last few weeks. It's been sensational. It's put a real interest back into the sport. I think the crowds there have been unbelievable. A few of my mates were down there, and it's just different. It's so good. There's nothing better than when like a smart ass is on your side of the fence and he's winning. Like if they were American, I would hate their guts.
Well, look at Medvedev. Medvedev. Like, he doesn't have the same cheeky attitude that Kyrgios has, but he is kind of like the villain.
Yeah.
So like people that aren't Australian looking at Kyrgios going, fuck, this guy's annoying. But I always say to people with Kyrgios, like, I get, you know, a few years ago, I understand the argument of like, mate, you're representing Australia, be mentally tough, stay in there, hang in there, all that kind of stuff, all that jazz. Like, I get it, especially as an ex-professional athlete. Like, you kind of like, mate, like, you've got so much talent. If you just, you know, knuckle down, you could literally be anything he wanted to be. But then when you let go of that and you go, you know what, he's his own man. This is his own life. As long as that, you know, he's not being put in the position just because he's Nick Kyrgios and he's actually earning it by beating the right people, you know, just enjoy it. I just enjoy the King Kyrgios. Just sit back. Don't get too involved in what you wished he was or wasn't. That's who he is. That's what he wants to be, and that makes him happy. So I think fair play.
Yeah.
Fair
Once
play.
again, coming from a big casual, like he essentially doesn't train, isn't that the narrative that goes with him? He doesn't train as much as others or whatever.
Relatively speaking,
Yeah.
like if you compared it to like the way Rafa plays, trains, or Federer, like even like you look at his serve compared to you watch that finals last night. You look at Kyrgios' serve compared to the finals of the men's. Like he's so talented. He's so talented, but just because he's talented doesn't mean that he has to live a certain way or whatever. Like it's his life, and he if he's the best in that position for us and he's earned it by beating other Australians, then fair enough.
I think it's a classic example of what different people consider to be, successful.
Yeah, for sure.
Like if
For
that's,
sure.
I mean, if he's underachieving and he's worth that much money and winning tennis comps,
Yep.
not doing too bad for himself.
Yeah, and you know what? Sometimes, like I've met athletes similar to Kyrgios, the way he kind of moves in that, playing footy. Sometimes if you put them too far on the straight and narrow, it fucking rattles them. Like, and they actually get worse because they it's too focused. It's too, like there's a lot of footy players that have played Origin that I know in Australia where they need that bit of leeway to just to be themselves. Whereas you go, okay, we're going to get you on the straight and narrow, discipline, responsibility, all that carry on, no fun, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, there's a good balance, but it almost takes away their swagger and what makes them them. And then all of a sudden, it's a kind of self-fulfilling prophecy. But yeah, the cock and the king. I feel like it's like attitude tennis. Kind of like reminds me of when I've seen clips of like the attitude era of like basketball, for example.
I mean, well, for me, like the tennis was good. The interviews were
Fantastic.
better for
Yeah,
me.
for
Loved
sure.
it. Yeah.
Obviously, Nadal wins in an epic 5-set against Medvedev. Look, I don't mind Medvedev's blow-ups. I think they're funny. But when he was going at the ball boys and ball girls, I was like, mate, come on. Like, that's a joke. If the King Kyrgios did that, I'd say the same thing. If I saw an Aussie blowing up at some ball boys and ball girls because they were like they could throw the ball but they were running it or something like that, I was like, bruh, like
It's pretty average form.
like come on, like you blow up at the crowd if they're yelling. 100%, I can respect that because I get it, but these kids are like they're kids, man, and like they're not even doing anything wrong. They're just not doing it the way you want them to do it. I really didn't like that, but I think the story of the night was Nadal.
Yeah.
When we talk about battlers, he's a battler. 2 sets down. Medvedev looks like almost, I don't know how young he is, but he's obviously younger than Nadal. 25. So he too young, too powerful, but that old gritty mindset of just hanging in there, fighting for every fucking thing you get. Nadal gets the job done. I didn't get to sleep till fucking 1:30. Either did Matt, the poor bloke. Yeah, what do you think of the match?
Yeah, I didn't watch the whole thing. I was a bit of a corpse yesterday, but I look at tennis at the moment. I'm a casual, 100%. But like those 3 names we've got there, Djokovic, Federer, Nadal, like it sort of feels like to me like when Joey, Freddie and Lockie were running around. It's just such a good era of tennis if you're proper into it.
There's this article I remember reading, and I think it was about that fact of when Nadal, Federer and Djokovic retire, it's going to hurt the sport massively because like who's next?
I can't tell you who else is in the top 10.
These guys have dominated for 15 years or whatever it is, or at minimum 10. So it's going to be really interesting to see who takes that mantle up because it's not even about the like they're just so much better.
Yeah,
it's it's like, and it's not just one person that's so much better. It's 3 of them. It's going to be very interesting to see how that all pans out. But anyway, on to NRL news. Justin Holbrook has said that Erin Clark will be the Titans hooker over Aaron Booth. This to me was really, really surprising. Not because Erin Clark, is bad or anything like that. I was just thinking that, you got a guy like Aaron Booth coming from the Storm that is an out-and-out hooker, and he's been signed for that, and you got rid of Mitch Rain, who was being picked over Erin Clark. Do you know what I mean? Like,
at no point last year did I ever get the impression that Holbrook thought Erin Clark was the guy. There was not a single moment. There was even less moments, because he had Mitch Rain there and then he let him go. It's very strange. And Booth, he's got such good raps on him. He's coming from a great system. He's not going to be Cameron Smith next year. But if I'm playing the Titans, respectfully, Darren Clark, I'm more worried if Aaron Booth is in the 9.
And look, fair play to Erin Clark. Like, maybe he's had a crazy offseason, and that's what Holbrook is seeing. So we don't have all the information. We're just going off the information that we saw last year. And I actually thought Erin Clark was a really good off the bench. I actually thought that he brought a bit of like zip to the pack when he did come on. Whereas like obviously Mitch Rain was the kind of like would spend more time as a hooker. But just sort of surprised, like you get rid of Rain, who was ahead of Clark, but then you go and sign Booth, and you've also got Tanner Boyd there.
Well, that's the other one, Tanner Boyd. Like I think he's going to be very unlucky to miss this side.
I like Tanner Boyd, and he's young too. He's so young. He's like 21.
Yep.
And he's not even a natural hooker, but he's kind of worked at that role. It's really surprising. Erin, and you know what? To credit to Erin Clark, he must have worked his ass off in the off-season. He must be fitter than ever. He must be training better than ever. Because, if I'm being totally honest, he would have probably been third in my picking order. But again, one thing I will say, when you're in an NRL squad, the preseason for guys like, because I've been similar in Erin Clark's position. My first year, Stephen Michaels and Darius Boyd and Leon Bott and this other guy called Fraser Anderson were all in front of me. So I was like, fringe, like, lucky to be in reserve grade. Not lucky, like I was the main winger in reserve grade, but I don't know, because I hadn't played much footy, I was still so far away from first grade. But then if you come out and you have these crazy preseason, and that's something that I always excelled at, is like, I would train really, really hard when my headspace was good. When my headspace was bad later, when I wanted to quit footy, I would still train really hard, but it just wasn't the same. Whereas like early, like the period where I wanted to be there, my training was like tip top, and it gets you opportunities. Like for example, I got to go to an army camp. It was it was a good opportunity, but a bad opportunity. I had to do the army camp. But it gets you trial matches. It gets you, and so clearly Erin Clark has done that in this offseason.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised it's before a trial is played, to be honest with you. At the same time, that could get the very best out of Erin Clark, knowing that the coach is backing him. But I think I would have liked to have thrown the 9 jersey in the middle of these two and see what I can get out of both of them.
Doesn't that speak to Clark's probably... he's clearly killed it in the off-season then.
Yeah, he's obviously had a very good off-season. I just, he obviously haven't seen him play with this spine that they've got at the moment. So, it's an interesting one. If Erin Clark kills it this year, we'll give him all the praise in the world, and Holbrook's a genius. So, good on him for backing his gut feel in there on those two.
Yeah, and good on Erin Clark. Good on Erin Clark. Like, to work... It's so hard winning the fringes, man. And especially, like, he's sitting there watching Aaron Booth get signed. He's sitting there watching Tanner Boyd be, this young guy coming through. Fair play to him. Well done, Erin Clark, for getting that spot. Warriors re-sign Adam Fanua-Blake. What a incredibly good signing.
Yeah, I still think there's an argument that AFB is probably the most underrated front row in our game.
Yeah.
For what he provides and the way people talk about him, I still think there's a massive gap between those two.
For sure. Like when you talk about your top 3 front rowers, to most people, you're going to go Payne Haas, you're going to go Fisher Harris, you're probably going to go Asai Feedy maybe. You're very rarely, unless you're a Warriors fan or a Manly fan, would you say Adam Fanua-Blake. Yet when you watch him play and the impact he has on games, even on Manly, like, for example, like let's say he was still at Manly when they went on that run, I reckon they go a lot better in the big games with a guy like Adam Fanua-Blake in the middle.
Yeah.
Like massive, like a lot better. So I totally agree with you. Like he would still be in people's top 10 or top 6 or whatever, but there's an argument that he's top 3.
I also think in rugby league, and you can probably talk more about it, if you've got the scariest bloke on the field, fuck, it's big. Like people undervalue it so much. But when, I'm sure when you were coming through, if Brad Thorne was playing that weekend, or Petro or Shane,
Tony Carroll,
it's just, Tunza, like it's a completely different footy side.
It was like Tony Carroll had this aura about him, just this like, don't run at Tony Carroll. It doesn't matter how big you are and how fast you are and how strong you are, do not run at Tony Carroll. And that's I'm pretty sure for a period there, he kind of was a huge reason for Darren Lockyer just being eased into that 6th position. Again, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he was put specifically there to protect Lockie.
Kevin Costner, the bodyguard.
Yeah, the bodyguard. And it fucking worked. Yep. You didn't want to go hitting short lines down that short side. I would argue to this day, maybe the only other person is Jake Trbojevic, but I would argue to this day he's probably the best tackle technique there is on an edge. Like, because he would snap blokes, like snap them.
And he would also, he'd be able to shift from lock to second row and even out to centre, and he would do the exact same thing there.
Absolutely.
I think people undervalue how difficult the centre job is in defence.
Yeah, for sure. Let us know in the comments section, who do you think, top 3 in the last 20 years, tackle technique? Is it Jake Trbojevic? Is it Tony Carroll? What's another smoky you'd throw in there?
Fuck, I'd tell you smoky would be Joey.
Yeah, he was fucking really good.
100%.
You know who else is another smoky? It's going to sound fucking crazy. But he wouldn't be in the top. But for a halfback putting hits on, Nathan Cleary actually puts a few hits on.
Yeah.
He rushes out of line sometimes and tries to shot people, which I love to see.
Another thing that I think is underappreciated by people, how good some of these 5'8s and halfbacks are defensively. It's all good and well if you can put on 4 tries, but if you're conceding 2 or 3 a game.
Well, it's kind of like the referee effect of a good defensive 6 or 7. You don't really notice it because they just did their job. They legs tackle, they did their job. Whereas a bad defensive,
if you're not noticing a half in defence, sensation,
100%,
unreal.
It's almost the Dylan Brown effect to an extent. Don't get me wrong, I know he's got stuff to work on in attack, and I know he is the coolest man alive, and that's the only reason why we are even speaking about
solely only reason.
But his defence is never talked about. So it's really interesting. Whereas and I'll use one of the GOATs for an example. How much did people talk about Thurston's defence? How much did they talk about Benji's defence? When people actually don't realise how fucking hard it is defending that position.
For sure.
I feel like both Thurston and Benji got better at it as they got older, or as in, when their bodies weren't injured. I feel like with Thurston, it was really interesting. I feel like there was a period that, the 8 in a row, he really had fixed it up a bit and then obviously his body got injured, and those last year or two was just tough on his body. What I love about Thurston is he is the definition of a battler.
Whenever he had a bad defensive game, it wasn't through a lack of trying.
100%. There would never be a time where he wouldn't put his body in front.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that I feel like fans and even myself, if you get bumped off, I'm okay with that as long as you put your body in front. But when you see players do that and jump out of the way, do that if people are listening, they kind of stick their arm out rather than getting their shoulder in front.
I know it very well. Don't worry.
I think that's it's not unforgivable, but it is a real it's okay to get bumped off. Everyone gets bumped off, even the biggest of the biggest. Sonny Bill got bumped off by Burgess. Sonny fucking Bill.
I think it's the other thing with halves that when you get to the end of the game, you look, they made 20 tackles, they missed 5, and it's one way to look at it, but especially with halves, the way that some of them defend that they just disrupt the play by putting themselves there, that it doesn't show up in stats. It's very hard to measure, but it was something that Thurston was good at because he could read a play. He would disrupt, he'd miss a heap of tackles, but he'd disrupt a lot of plays and just send it into chaos and it would die there.
Yeah, for sure. You sometimes it's better for a half to rush and miss a tackle than to stay back and just worry about his own job. Because then they just slide over the line, or something along those lines. So, I do believe if you're looking at outside back missed tackles, sometimes the stats do tell a story. Sometimes it's he missed a few tackles. But you're better off watching the game to get a real context of it. Was it a cover tackle that they just, they got a hand on him, but he was already broken the line across from someone else? Or did he did he rush up and make the player go back inside, then the forwards clean it up and it was slow play the ball. Whereas forwards, I feel like stats are usually pretty accurate of how they've gone.
You've got to eye test outside backs.
I think so for all. Now, again, sometimes stats absolutely do tell a story where you're going, he did have a bad one. Anyway, Warriors sign Adam Fanua-Blake. Look, it's really interesting. Warriors in this really strange, I don't know where to put them right now, because they're doing a lot of good things, signing SJ, getting Ash Taylor, that seems to be going well down there. Matt Lodge, I think, has a lot to offer. But at the same time, can I see him? They lost Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. They've obviously got Reece Walsh. I don't know where to put them.
They're hard to trust still. I look at the squad, I think 1 to 13, it's a really good side. They've got forwards coming out of their arse that aren't going to be in their side. So there's a heap of depth there. The outside backs are pretty young. is a worry, but you have got to give somewhere.
Yeah.
Realistically, I think if SJ can stay on the field the whole year, I give them a real shot of making the 8. I think with AFB as well. We said he's the scary guy on the field. Well, the offload, everything stands out, but just the motor that he has.
Yeah.
You can get 70 minutes. Like, if you need to, you can get 80 minutes out of AFB for 2 weeks in a row if you're desperate.
And it's going to be quality work too.
Yeah.
It's not just like your 5 metre run, slow play the ball. It's like 10, 12 metres, a lot of post contact. I mean, the year at Manly, I think he led post contact.
Yeah, it was close to it. And he's getting to that age now where AFB knows how to take care of himself in a game.
Yeah.
Whereas, the younger guys, when they get forced to play big minutes, they just go 100 miles an hour trying to do everything. He's now picked his moments where he knows he can have a little spell, have a little breather in game. So
I think the positive for the Warriors right now is like their attention is pretty good, and they've recruited relatively well. There seems to be a bit of depth in that forward pack. They've put themselves in a position to progress. They're not another. There are other clubs where you're kind of like, fuck, I still see a downward kind of trajectory. Whereas I feel like the Warriors have the opportunity to go forward rather than backwards.
Especially once they get home too. The game changes when they're home.
It's going to be very interesting. Very interesting. Now, what we wanted to do this week is basically do like a rookie watch, and obviously Guru probably knows much more about the rookies than I do when it comes to guys that playing flag and all that kind of stuff. So we put together a list of just some rookies that may have played 5 games, 6 games, or 0 games. Some people just to keep your eye on over the next 12 to 16 months. Now, we'll go Broncos first. The 3 people we've got the 3 people that Guru come up with was Ezra Mann, Selwyn Cobbo, Xavier Williston. Now, I think Selwyn Cobbo is an absolute star.
Yeah, I sort of wrote Selwyn Cobbo on this list, and I thought, do I need to put him there? Then I thought, no, we'll leave him in there. He's only played 7 games. I still think if you've only watched him in first grade, you probably don't know what you're in for still.
Totally.
If you've watched him in Q Cup, which I'm sure a lot of your listeners would have, the grand final he played last year was...
Yeah, his team was like on the back foot, could do nothing, and then every time he got the ball, something would happen.
And if you look at his stats alone, I don't have them off the top of my head, but it was like he ran for 200 plus metres. It was about 10 line breaks. It was a try. It was a try assist. You would assume his team won 40-0. 10 tackle breaks, sorry. Still, as an 18-year-old in Q Cup, you would assume his team won 40-0.
Yeah.
They lost 16-10. Like, I think it's arguably one of the best performances in a losing team, realistically. It was incredible. And he is so young. He's got so much more to gain. It was also when he was playing fullback. He hadn't played fullback in a few months because he'd been playing centre for the Broncos.
He just has that, like, you could chuck him anywhere and he would just do something crazy. Just the way he runs, he's deceptively fast. He doesn't look, because he glides so much, he doesn't look that fast, but when you're actually on the field, he's really strong for his age. He's incredible, got an incredible physique. Enjoys the contact. He's going to be
balance is special too. The way that he bounces out of contact and he just holds himself. I won't say who he reminds us of because we don't want to do it again. But it's the balance that stands out for me when you compare him to those other guys.
And it's the body shape. They're 6'4", and they've got the perfect body for rugby league. And so it's kind of like, I guess you could compare. Gallen would remind me of, who was that real jacked Cowboys player?
Luke O'Donnell.
I think Luke O'Donnell.
He was jacked.
And
not
like,
one I would fuck
those two are kind of similar body shapes, like that very nuggety kind of whatever. Joey and Luke Brooks, similar body shape. That bucket ass. So anyway, I think we'll try as much as we can to not bring up, Inglis, Latrell, Selwyn, because I do agree with the sense that, like, you don't want to do it too much because it's just like they're their own men. Selwyn's different to Latrell, Trell's different to Inglis.
But at the same time, if you watch him and you don't think it, you're probably lying.
Yeah. If you're pretending that you don't see similarities, you're lying. Even from their running gait and that.
For sure.
But yeah, we try as much as we can because they're their own men, charting their own course, and we always got to respect that. If anything, it comes from a compliment.
It's 100% a compliment.
Yeah. I'm not comparing someone to Trell or Inglis unless I'm super, super impressed. I don't know. I haven't seen him in person. I don't know if he's as big as Trell and Inglis. I think he might be just a little bit. I mean, he's still fucking big.
Well, What does he weigh, Matty? Can you? What's he coming in at the moment? What do you reckon?
I think Trell's
High 90s or?
I actually think Trell's the biggest out of all three of them.
Yeah.
And I think Inglis might be the tallest. But anyway, they're just all incredible.
Broncos have him at 190 centimeters and 99 kgs.
99, yeah.
99, okay. So Trell would be about what, 105, 106 now, you reckon? Can you get Trell's weight and height, please? 199 centimeters, they say.
190 So Selwyn was 190 centimeters. Latrell's 193.
Yeah, so he's just a tad smaller.
Yeah, and Latrell's 102 kilos.
Big boy, man.
But how much skinnier? How much just smaller does Selwyn look at the moment compared to a Latrell? He's got so much growing.
Yeah. He'll get up to that weight. Can you get maybe Inglis's height and weight? It is really interesting to see because I truly believe that they're the ultimate footy players. If I could pick one guy to have 13 of, I'd probably go 13 Greg Inglis's. I mean, I know you're Freddie Fittler man.
Oh, low key. Yeah.
Low key. I'd probably go
GI would be hard
13 GIs. He won a Clive Churchill at 6.
Yep.
A Dally M at fullback.
Don't think he won a Dally M, but he was always there and thereabouts.
He won, I think, Golden Boot.
Golden Boot, I think it was.
You know what I mean? Fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
He was 195 centimeters, so 2 centimeters taller than Latrell.
So it is what I thought. He was the tallest. Latrell's a bit thicker.
Yeah. Because Latrell and GI are roughly the same weight. Greg Inglis slightly more heavier.
And obviously when we talk the comparisons, we know where GI ends up. We know where Latrell Mitchell's at.
Yeah.
But when you go back and watch the highlights of their first 2 years and how skinny they were,
yeah, for sure,
it is Selwyn. Just the similarities in the way they move and everything is scary.
Yeah, I guess the only difference is a tiny bit shorter. He's still 190 centimeters.
Yeah.
Man, when you go back,
also hasn't been in a gun team either.
Yes,
that's the thing.
Crazy. Yeah. When you go back and watch an early GI and early Trell, it's just like, bruh, we didn't appreciate what we were seeing.
Early GI is fucked. There's so many, when I go back and watch it, there's so many tries that I do not remember where he gets the ball off a scrum on his own 30. Yep. He just runs around them and just no one gets near him.
Mate, early GI in the Q Cup and that with his blonde hair.
Yeah.
It's honestly... It's like Steve Renouf. That's how beautiful it looks when he glides across the. I truly believe Steve Renouf looked the most gracious when he ran. It was just something about it. But it was similar with GI. Just watching him in full flight, you're almost in awe of it. Going, how?
He was North Devils, wasn't he?
Yep.
Come through, yeah.
Melbourne Storm, where that used to be their feeder team. We used to have pretty good battles with North back in the day.
How good's that old North Devils picture where you got Slater, Cronk, and
crazy.
Unbelievable.
I made my debut against North Devils in Q Cup, and Inglis was a fullback. Crazy.
Miss me with that.
Crazy times. Anyway, now Xavier Williston, he's a big boy, isn't he?
Yeah, I like the look of this kid. He did his ACL last year, so he's not meant to return until halfway through 2022. So for a second rower, in a pretty decent pack.
Can you get his Xavier Williston up? I think he's quite rangy for his size.
Yes, yeah. I think it might be a tough season for him. Obviously, coming off an ACL is going to be tough. He's going to give 9 or 10 other really good forwards 15 weeks to show what they can do.
Yep.
It's just the reality of the situation. But I think he has got a future for sure.
Guys like this have just got to hang in there.
Yep.
Because you look at him physically and you're like, mate, you've got it. You've got it. Just bide your time. Even if it is 24, 25 when you make your debut, you've still got nearly 8 years to really play in a role. What you got there?
So he's 190 centimeters and 104 kilos.
104. Okay, so yeah, quite rangy, big boy. I mean, quite mobile too. So, it's going to be really interesting because you've got Kurt Catewell one side, you've got Ricky the other.
Ricky, yeah.
Ricky's still got a lot of development to do, though. I'm a huge fan of Ricky.
He's only been playing for 4 years. I think people forget that. He came from Union. He hasn't played much.
Jordan Ricky?
Yeah, I remember talking to his Queensland Cup coach, Rowan Smith, a few years ago, and he said, watch out for this kid, but he's very raw.
Yeah, and then, you can see that.
Yeah, and then Brisbane shit the bed. They had a heap of injuries, and all of a sudden, bang, he was in first grade. It'll be... Adam Reynolds will be a godsend for him.
Ricky's a perfect example of I wish Broncos didn't shit the bed and they gave him more time in reserve grade to develop. Because you can even watch in his last few games where you would see these flashes of absolute brilliance and you're going, this guy's a fucking weapon. But then sometimes in defence, he would clock off, and again, that's all part of being young and learning your game. I went through it. I missed shit. I missed tackles. And the problem at the Broncos for those couple of years is like some of those younger boys, they just didn't get that extra year or two to to grow, to grow. Like especially in the forwards in today's game, to be a young forward on the edge, it's a tough gig. Like I would even argue Paddy Carrigan could have probably used. Now Paddy Carrigan now is a 100% full-time first grader. I absolutely love him. I think he'll be the next captain probably after Reynolds. And I also think he'll play for Queensland and Australia. Like I am such a fan of Carrigan. But I do believe that he probably could have used another year or two in reserve grade just to give him some time to, what position am I? Am I a lock? Am I a front rower? Am I the guy that gets through a million tackles? Or am I the guy that, less but higher quality? You know what I mean? Am I the next Corey Parker? Like I feel like he was trying to find himself in first grade, which again, that's not to say that he didn't have some really good games. He didn't absolutely fucking work his ass off. But the positive, I think, is that Broncos it feels like they're starting to get past that phase of these young fellas that were maybe in a little bit too early to, these are first graders now. Like I feel like Ricky will really cement himself this year as, okay, he's a real first grader. I think Haas is going to go to another level and we're going to be started going, oh wow, this guy is actually a club leader. Like, a real club leader.
I feel like he sort of did at the end of last
100%.
year. I think he turned a corner. And I think for guys that you just mentioned, those guys that probably came in earlier than what they should have, the next 2 or 3 years is really crucial for them.
Sure.
And bringing in a Reynolds and a Capewell, I think it's just a really smart move by Brisbane.
Yep.
I think that if those guys can get through the next 2 or 3 years, the shit they went through early will pay huge dividends at the back end.
Absolutely. Like if it doesn't break them, it'll make
if it
them
doesn't
stronger.
break, that's always the worry.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I feel like there was a period there where they were quite rudderless and they kind of felt a bit hopeless, where the signings have kind of like given a bit of life and like, okay, we got direction here. We've got Reynolds. We've got like Kurt Capewell for that forward pack is going to be so instrumental.
And like it was a perfect storm for Brisbane. They lost their defensive attitude in, I would argue, the worst time to ever lose your defensive attitude in rugby league history. Yeah. New rules that are faster than ever. It's easier to score points than it ever has been. If you're not switched on and you don't have leaders, you can find yourself up shit creek very quickly.
You would honestly, and I said it at the time, I felt sorry for the boys because you would look at that Broncos team behind the try line and all you had essentially was Alex Glenn. Yep. You had Alex Glenn, he was also, the club was trying to move him on. He was trying to stay, like he's dealing with his own shit. You need a group of older guys to be able to go, okay, mate, I'll speak to the backs, you speak to the forwards. Whereas it was kind of just looking around like...
There's also only so much you can do from left back rower.
100%. 100%. And also like the messaging from the club is we were trying to get rid of you. Like it doesn't help the situation. And fair play, like that's another thing is like I hope people really respect Alex Glenn. I know they struggled the last couple of years as a team, but he fought to stay at the club. He declined massive offers. Could have gone to Penrith a few years ago. Like massive offers to be at that club. And it's the age-old thing of like, fans are always upset when a good player leaves. But when a good player is loyal, how many people are going to be grateful to Lexi for being loyal to the club through the real tough times?
Alex Glenn and just the way that his career played out, he's been coached by every Broncos coach ever.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
Wild. Just because of the timing of his career. Yeah, crazy.
So, I think it's really good. Now, Ezra Mam, he's explosive. He could be anything. He could be the kid with all the talent that just doesn't seem to click, or he could be a fucking live wire.
Matty, can you get his Q's Cup stats up, Ezra Mam? I think he's got 14 written on his forehead. I don't know if it's round one, but I think by the back end of the year we will see him. I don't know. Do you think we'll see him in the 5'8" jersey at all this year, or are there just too many options?
I think it's too early. Like, do we want to make the same mistake again of like rushing this guy into first grade? That was one thing Wayne did so well is he would almost like pick in. I remember, here's an example. So I was in Q Cup, the Queensland Cup's leading try scorer, playing, really good footy, made Queensland residents everything. And then underneath that is obviously A grade. And we had a guy called Gideon Mazembe that was in A grade, but he was also in the top squad, like in the extended top squad. Anyway, so I'm the Queensland Cup top try scorer. I'm making Queensland residents and, playing really well. Gideon Mazembe gets selected as 18th man for the NRL team to go away over me. I was devastated. I went to my car. I cried. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that like a local league winger that I've got his position just got selected over me as 18th man to go down. But that's Wayne's kind of way of. He had me in the reserve grade, like he had me in Q Cup, and but he identified me as someone that he was thinking of the long term for me, you know, rather than. And so Wayne is just so good at going. Now, don't get me wrong, I was devastated. I couldn't believe it. Like honestly, it didn't make sense. Like imagine that you've worked. Like I've played sport my whole life. The moment is there. Someone's injured, and then the guy from local league gets called up, and you're going, fuck. And so he's really good at that. Now, that's the thing with the Broncos. I feel like because they moved on so much older players, they got put in a position where they didn't have that luxury anymore. And let's be clear, very different times. Wayne Bennett had the luxury of the fucking Australian side. Yeah. But it's all principle based. We're talking principle based, and that's my concern with Ezra Mam. Is like, for me, he could be a long-term 6. Do we want to rush him in too early?
History tells me Walters isn't afraid to change his 7 and 6, though.
Fuck.
I personally, I don't think we'll see him in the 6. I think the back end of the season, I was going to say potentially Origin, but they won't lose anyone there. I think we could see him in jersey 14. Apparently, he's been braining it up there. Apparently, he won their 40-metre dash or something.
He is something else. He's something else.
There's some flyers up there. So, mate, have you got those stats?
Yeah, I'll read you some stats. They're so good. So 11 games, 13 tries, 8 try assists, and never went a game without either scoring or setting one up. 33 tackle breaks, kicked at 78%, made 89% of his tackles, and averaged 107 running meters per game.
How old is he?
I'd say 19.
Hang on.
I'd say 19. But for a 19-year-old to be doing that in U Cup in the middle there, like as a half,
yeah,
that's impressive.
And his team wasn't. Like they didn't make the grand final.
Logan,
yeah, like, they were good, but they weren't unbelievable. Like he isn't doing this in 40-point wins.
Yep.
Wow. Sorry, I actually didn't say, but now I found another website. He's 19 years old.
He's 19, so he would have been 18 when he was doing that.
Yeah, and it's his first Q Cup season too. He hasn't played previously, so that is first up. Doing what he's doing is pretty damn impressive.
And like, if you were like to build a half or a 6 that suits the modern game, like as in this current quick-paced. Ezra Mam's the guy.
He is. If I had to put a like for like, he does remind me of Milford at his best.
Yeah, very good, very good. I would even argue he's quicker than Milford.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, quicker than Milford.
I think him at 14. Remember when Ben Barber first burst onto the scene?
Yeah.
I think it could be a similar sort of situation, especially in the modern game. How much impact these 14s can have.
Yeah, true.
He could be anything.
Man, I just can't wait to see him play. Now on to the Raiders. We've got Guru put this together. I'll just keep saying we, but Guru put this together, guys.
Team effort.
Team effort. It was a team effort. I sent him a text message and he sent it back to me.
Take the try.
So the Raiders, Schneider, 1 game he's played halfback. HSS, who's that?
That's Harley Smith-Shields. He's, I think, there's a few guys here that people are well and truly aware of. Schneider was a guy that I haven't actually seen him play, and I said that the other day, and I must have had 15 Canberra Raiders fans message me and go, "You're kidding." There's a lot of Raiders fans out there that
you know what?
Schneider.
I think I got messages too going, this Schneider kid is a gun.
Yeah, he's, once again, I haven't seen him play, so I can't talk, but a lot of Raiders fans
I'm going out on a limb. He's a gun. He's the next
cool.
Cameron Smith. Next Cameron Smith, Raiders, lock it in, premiership in the next few years.
Immortality awaits.
So what was the feedback that the fans were giving you?
Yeah, they just said that I thought he was a dummy half, to be honest with you, because I hadn't seen him. But a lot of Raiders fans were very high on him. For people to bother messaging me, probably says something about the kid. Harley Smith-Shields, he's played 9 games, but I still think people probably aren't aware how good.
I tell you who's aware of him, me, because he's hot as fuck.
Yeah, he's a good-looking rooster.
Hot as fuck.
Yeah.
He's one hot, sexy man. Harley Sexy Shields, HSS.
I don't know how you do that off your head,
Mate, I've been in the game. When you're in the game this long, doing weird shit.
You do.
So, I mean, what is good, though, is that, we have shown concern around the halves position for the Raiders. And it is good that clearly at the very, very least, they've got a player that is talented in the 7 role. Does it mean he will kick on to be good? We don't know. But at the very least, there's a plan in place there. There's also a backup plan with Fogarty. And you could even argue they've got depth in the halves now.
They have got depth in the halves. They might not have superstars in the halves, but they've got depth.
But so what I'm saying is, though, is that, like, let's say Fogarty doesn't play well, but then this guy turns into a superstar. We don't know what's going to happen, but it turns a solid halves into, wow, like for example, let's say Schneider kills it in New South Wales Cup. Fogarty's struggling. Schneider gets brought in, kills it in first grade. Him and Whiten start playing really well. All of a sudden, you could argue Raiders have the most depth out of any club in the halves. They can call in Williams.
Yeah.
They can call in Fogarty. Not saying that will happen, but there's a potential path there for that.
Yeah, and that's the other thing I think works in Schneider's favour is even if he's playing Reggie's, he's going to be playing with Sam Williams, who, yes, he isn't a superstar, but Sam Williams has probably played 100-odd first-grade games. He's been in the game a lot, so I think it'll be really good for him. So if Raiders fans are keen, and Raiders fans can be quite critical as well, so for them to like him and to get upset that I said I didn't know him, good signs.
Yep, very good signs. With a Sam Williams, just because he's not the flashiest half doesn't mean that mentally he can't teach a bunch of stuff to a younger guy coming through.
I've heard a lot of people say it, and when I spoke to Brett White, he pointed this out, that he reckons that he is one of the best guys to have in your room when you're watching tape.
Wow.
And that during the week, Sam Williams is a perfect guy. We're playing Nathan Cleary this week. Can you mirror Nathan Cleary's game?
Oh, okay.
And I reckon he's an absolute genius for it, Sam Williams. So as much as he isn't a superstar, he brings a lot that I think a lot of people don't see.
For sure. Now, obviously we spoke about Harley Sexy Shields. Xavier Savage, really interesting. Massive raps on him. And not even external, internal. Like Ricky has come out and said that he's in the mix. I'm pretty sure, can you confirm this? He's in the mix for the fullback position. So one of two things. And I messaged you this when it came out.
Yeah.
My head is going to explode if I keep hearing these like rumours that Chance isn't going to be their fullback. Why? Please tell me why. Guru, what is your inside word? What is going on?
No, I'm the same as you. I've got no idea. And for me, if they're not playing Chance at fullback, they're moving him to their most crowded position by a country mile. There are 2 or 3 first-grade centres that aren't going to be in their team come round 1, and they want to move their fullback there who got them to a grand final. Like Savage, looks really talented. 3 games.
What do you got there,
So
Matt?
Ricky Stewart's exact quote was, and this is about Xavier Savage, he's got the ability to play fullback and wing, but yes, he will be in the battle for the fullback spot. I've said throughout my coaching career, you need competition in spots.
But like, I don't understand how that helps Chance.
And this is the exact situation I was saying with the Titans hookers. I understand some situations where you say, this guy's got the jersey.
Yeah.
Chance is the situation where you should say, you've got the jersey.
100%. You absolutely have the jersey, and our whole preseason is about you, Fogarty, and Whiten, and our 9 working together I get the whole battle for your spot. Like, Chance knows that. Chance fought his way into first grade. He wasn't a young throbber that just like got it. He understands that his jersey is on the line all the time. But
he arrived there unwanted. He had to go around the hard way. He gets it.
100%. I'm not understanding that. Like, imagine, and I just feel like Chance is the kind of guy that if the coach did back him, it would mean, like, he's never not going to train hard. He's never not going to have a crack. Like, that's one thing. It's his best asset is having a crack. And with that Xavier Savage, he has such a good body shape for a winger initially. Get him on the wing, get some NRL under his belt, get the contact, all that kind of stuff. And then I don't understand it. I think Savage is a star of the future. Absolutely. Like, no doubting it. And I think he should be on the wing. But there's no need to rush him into that spot when you've already got, when he's at his best, a top 5 fullback.
In saying that, I hope that Ricky's probably chipped Chance and said, hey, I'm going to say this.
Okay.
Just to see if I hope, because if it's not, it just doesn't make any sense to me at all.
It does, and also, like,
he couldn't finish the grand final because he literally went too hard.
Yeah, literally 277 meters or something like that.
Unbelievable.
He killed it. And also, when he came back last year, they
It's
were
in
a
the old
different
rules
side.
too. Yeah.
So mate, if I'm Ricky, I'm training Xavier as a gun winger and just getting him in the game. getting him a full season of it. He's played 3 NRL games, getting him a full season of NRL on the wing and saying, mate, use your God-given talents or whoever gave them to you of incredible speed. He is the fastest man in the NRL. He's a Queensland champion for the 100 metres.
He's a Queenslander, is he?
Yeah. He's a Queensland champion, and it was only like 2 years ago he was a Queensland champion.
Yeah, right.
So, look, maybe he isn't. Maybe he doesn't get the fastest time, but I tell you what, to win a Queensland champion, you're probably championship at, I think it's under 17s. You're probably the fastest. Your top speed is, at the very least, your top speed is the fastest in the NRL.
And I mean, from what we've seen in those 3 games,
he's quick.
he's backed it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what I would be saying is like, look, let's just focus on developing you as a winger. This fullback stuff we can work on in the background, and if you develop into that, or a centre stuff. But at the moment, like, he could end up being one of the great specialist wingers. Like, I think he's about 6 foot, 6'1", and he's running. I think he's running like 10.6 or something in 100.
Mate, a lot of the great fullbacks started out there. Billy started out there. Mini, GI,
Just
Latrell,
let him score a bunch of tries on the wing, get confident, get physically bigger. I think he'd be a great winger initially, and then build him into it.
In saying that, if you aren't going to play him at fullback, it is hard to get him into this team.
See, I just get him into the side. Like, I honestly, I'm looking towards a future. As in, if he struggles, if he gets in and he struggles, then you bring in the guys you know can do the job. But I just get him on the wing, honestly do. But I know it's hard because you got Rapani, you got Kotrick, you got HSS, you got Timoko.
Jared Croker as well. You got, like, there's a lot of mouths to feed there.
I think you find a way, honestly. I think you find a way. I think he's still only 19. But who knows? Trials are a really good indicator. You know, maybe
it's hard too because you got the 2 hookers. You probably can't afford to have him on the bench too.
Yeah. Yeah, really interesting. Really interesting. I mean, maybe Ricky's trying to train him up as a backup fullback for now, just in case Chance does go down again. Very interesting. Now, Harry Rushton, 0 games. He's from England, and he can go. See, he's a second rower, but he can go anywhere in the pack. Thoughts?
Yeah, he's played when he's played his reserve grade last year, mostly as a second rower, but as you said, can play anywhere in the pack. Hasn't played any games yet, but there has been raps on him for quite some time. I find it surprising that he hasn't played yet. That might be a bit of a red flag. I thought he would have by now. But when it comes to forwards from England, Canberra, they tend not to miss. So he's one that I would definitely keep an eye on. In saying that, it's potentially the most stacked forward pack in the competition, depth-wise.
It's crazy.
It is going to be a hard side.
Their roster is so good.
Now that you throw Adam Elliott in,
it
becomes very difficult. You get Corey Horsburgh back full-time from injury. It's. I mean, one of Hudson Young or CHN probably misses the starting team, which is insane. So it's a hard team to crack into. But
which
one
is
to
crazy.
Keep an eye
They
on.
struggled so much last year, and you look at their team on paper, like, holy moly.
Well,
Trey Mooney.
I would actually have Trey Mooney ahead of Harry Rushton on my list, and I know a lot of Raiders fans are very, very keen on him as a middle forward. I haven't seen a heap of him. The little I've seen, he looks impressive. So he's another one that I would black book. Trey
Mooney. Now to the doggies. Biondi Odo, 9 games, half hooker, 14. Is he the Māori guy?
I'm not sure what nationality he is, but he was playing on the bench.
Actually, no, I don't think he's Māori. That's a different guy that I'm getting. He start with Jackson, someone I think his name.
Yeah, you're getting
Tarpon.
Yeah, we'll get to him. He's on that list. Yeah.
Oh,
do you want to start with him?
Line. No, we can go Biondi.
Yeah, Biondi Odo. He played a lot of hooker last year when he came on. I thought he looked lethal there, and every Canterbury fan told me he's a halfback. He then went and played 5'8", and I thought he looked much more accustomed at 9. Sort of looked like the Ben Hunt effect. But they have got a few 9s here. There's another one at the bottom of the list, Josh Cook. They've just got him from South Sydney. He was meant to be the next guy for quite some time. He's had a couple of injuries, had a bad run the last few years. He's ended up at Canterbury. Real South Sydney family, so hard for him to leave, but got real potential, Josh Cook. He's definitely one to keep an eye on. Jeremy Marshall-King's a starting 9 at the moment. They have got a few options there, but yeah, I'd be keeping an eye on Josh Cook over the next year. I'm surprised South let him go.
Really. Now, we've both seen this guy in action, Alamotti. Apologies if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Centre,
Scary.
scary talent.
When you have a look at those Canterbury pictures from training, especially when you see him standing next to Naden, proper quality centres, he's bigger than most of them. And I'm pretty sure he's meant to be playing SG ball this year. I think he'll go straight into reserve grade. They have got a lot of centres though, so whether you see him this year or not, I don't know. I don't think Braden Burns will make the starting 13 this year, so he's probably next man up. But I reckon this guy could push his way by the end of the season.
By the end of the season, if he gets a crack through injury and then they see how good he is, he stays in there.
Yeah, I think he's going to need injury to get in. But, I mean, yeah, there will be spots throughout the year. Josh Adokar will disappear for a couple of months to go play Origins, so there will be opportunities there. It's whether they rush him in or not, because they're not a team that needs a centre.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen of him, his balance, his footwork, his size, his ability to flick one out the back, like one of the a real kind of like Willie Tonga-esque.
Yeah, he's confident too.
And he almost looks like, well, I mean, what I was seeing, he almost looked like a man playing kids, even though he's younger.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm truly excited to see how this guy goes. I guess you could say he's similar in that Will Penasini kind of vein. He'd probably be a little bit bigger than Penasini, you think?
I think so, yeah.
But Penasini's like still massive.
Yeah.
I'm very, very interested to see how they go, because you could argue, you got Naden there, but then you've got Shoot or Shop. Long term, let's say Naden, how old is Naden? About 26, 27?
Couldn't even guess, yeah.
Yeah, so look, the good thing with the Dogs is
26.
Got some good youth coming through.
Yeah.
Now, on to Sharks.
I'll just do the fact check about Bailey Biondo. He's actually Indigenous. He played for the under-16s Indigenous Queensland side a few years ago. And Jackson Topine, he captained the New South Wales under-18s team a few years ago.
But Jackson Topine is definitely Māori though. Pretty sure.
Yes, yeah. I was actually that Biondo. He's also I think he's a first cousin of Barber too.
Oh, really?
From memory, yeah.
So he's Indigenous and Māori.
I think so. Yeah.
Now, onto the Sharks. Now, Metcalf, didn't he go to the Warriors?
He's going there next year, I believe.
Okay.
I was under the same impression. It's him and Niokore.
It's definitely 23.
Yeah, 23.
Okay.
Yeah. So. Yeah, first goal took it. He's played 6 games, most of them off the bench. I still don't think you've seen. He's another guy that if you've only seen him in first grade, I don't think you got a real understanding of how good he is. I think he's going to be a star at the Warriors.
If you watched the Nines tournament a few years ago, you may remember a guy from Manly that absolutely fucking tore it to pieces. That was Metcalf.
Yeah, no, he's very talented, and I don't know. We keep hearing rumours that Reece Walsh could be on the move. If he does, I think this guy will slide straight into fullback. I think he'll do very well.
Rumours Walshy on the move. What do you reckon, Redcliffe?
Yeah, well, I mean, Peter O'Sullivan got him to the Warriors. Peter O'Sullivan's at the Dolphins now. I'm a little bit worried there could be a few leave the Warriors, but
wow, it's I mean, it's going to be different when they do go home. Especially the people that have lived in Australia, like what does that mean? Do they be going, you know what? I'd rather stay in Australia rather than live in New Zealand.
And I mean, you said it last week. You go there, you have to wear jeans all the time. You're not at the beach. You're not like.
Yeah, it's not your home. It's like when Kiwis come and live here. A lot of Kiwis miss New Zealand. It's only natural. It's just natural. You can move to Spain and miss Australia. Or Spain move here and they miss Spain. Metcalf, a lot of potential. Cade Dykes, fullback, Sharks.
Yeah, son of Adam Dykes, old Sharks 5'8". They look similar, but they play very differently. He's very quick, Cade Dykes. I don't think you'll see him in first grade this year. I think he'll play mostly reserve grade, but he's a definite one to keep an eye on. Of course, Adam, his old man, played for Cronulla as well, so that'll be a pretty cool moment. He'll play for Cronulla eventually, I think. Franklin Pele.
Big boy, isn't he?
Yeah, this is the one that they sort of had to tell him, can you stop going to the gym?
I remember this.
Which is frightening.
Absolutely.
Apparently he's been very impressive at their
who else that's done that? Leon Bott had to stop squatting.
That doesn't shock me,
because he was getting too big in his legs.
Get some shorts on him,
Sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah, no, Franklin Pella. Obviously, Cronulla, they are stacked in their pack. Someone sent me a best 17 for the Sharks for this year, and I looked at it and said, that looks pretty good. Then I realised Sifa Talakai wasn't in it, Fafita wasn't in it, and Aiden Tolman wasn't in it. and
Holy.
Royce Hunt wasn't in, and I was like, fuck, that's a pretty good side.
Yeah.
So, and then you've got to throw Pele on top of that. I think if they can get the best out of Pele eventually and Sifa Talakai, they're very similar players. That explosive middle edge, sort of like that Isaiah Papali'i sort of mould. Could be anything. And then...
Well, I mean, just quickly on that, they've almost got the perfect coach for it because, like, their attack is sorted. That they're going to be good attackers, both of them. They do it naturally. It's part of their game. It's the defensive stuff that's probably the only thing that they probably need to. Again, I haven't seen Pele play enough to know that, but I'm just assuming that the reason why he already isn't, in playing first grade, could be just needs to work on the defence. Whereas, guess who their coach is? The New South Wales current defensive coach, Craig Fitzgibbon, who's one of the great defenders.
And some of the highlights that he's producing in New South Wales Carl, like you would think he's a centre.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't see the number on his back.
Yeah.
And the tries he's scoring, like that Payne Haas sort of going to run 50 metres and run around the fullback kind of stuff. And then we've got our boy at hooker, Jaden Berrell.
Wynnum hooker? Former Wynnum hooker?
I think he was the Q Cup Player of the Year last year. Very exciting. Yeah.
Such a smart buy. Oh.
Yeah. Genius buy.
I was watching that grand final and just the semi-final as well, and I was like, why haven't the Broncos signed this guy? Like, I don't understand. He would have gone for peanuts.
If Holbrook said Jaden Berrell's my hooker this year, I'd go, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I'd say, good call.
Yeah, good shout.
Good call.
How Brisbane don't have him in their system blows me away. I don't know. But, I mean, the Sharks, to have him, I'm not sure how much he plays. Obviously, Blake Brayley's not going to play Origin or anything. He tends to play a lot of games every year. So I'm not sure how much we see of him. But
But he's an example of where that pressure is good.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I feel like when Jaden left, Blake, although I'm sure he wouldn't have thought it too much, there'd be a subconscious, like, he's a hooker. Like, at the Sharks right now, he is the hooker. Like, you could not, even if he was playing shockingly, who are you going to put in there? Whereas now, you bring in a guy like Jaden, who Blake's a better hooker at the moment than Jaden, and who knows, Beryl could get in a first grade system and go to another level. But this is the good kind of pressure where Blake all of a sudden has to go, oh shit, like.
Well, and I think Blake would have had a moment where if he didn't realise how good this kid was at first at training, he would have gone, fuck, this isn't just another hooker. Mm-hmm. This guy can play. He's going to put serious pressure on me.
Which I think is going to take Blake's game to the next level.
I think I've said it a few times with Blake. Coming through the juniors, he was this running, explosive 9. We haven't really seen it in first grade. And based on what we've seen in first grade and what I've seen of this Beryl, you could argue maybe Beryl could be more suited to this team. So I think it could really push a lot out of Blake, which is scary.
Yeah, absolutely. Because Beryl's a bit bigger body.
Yep.
More of a rough and tumble kind of hooker, whereas Blake's quite silky. Don't get me wrong, Blake is tough as fuck. He gets through a bunch of tackles, but he's a more silky kind of. Now, onto the Titans. Campbell, 7 games. Sexton, 4 games. We'll just go through them first. Campbell, for me, we've already spoken about it, but he's honestly one of the most exciting prospects in the NRL period.
Yeah, another one I almost didn't bother putting on there, but thought I'd throw him on there. 7 games. We've said it a few times. He's just a natural. Mm-hmm. Saves his best games for the best team. So very exciting times for them. Sexton, we've spoken about him as well. Another Aussie schoolboys halfback. Looks like he's been handed the keys this year. Goal kicker as well.
Is he right now, and this is going to sound hyperbolic, but I don't know if I agree with it, but it's a thought that runs around in my head. Is he one of the most underrated as when it comes to pressure coming into this new season? Like, Ash Taylor got moved on. They've had an issue with Haas for so long. Fogarty's been moved on. And I'm just, the concern I have with a guy like Sexton is not that he's not a good half, is the pressure that is going to be on him now to deliver is quite substantial. Whereas if Fogarty stays at the club, it was already enough pressure because of the Ash Taylor curse of young, hot 7 that we got for a lot. I'm not saying Sexton's on a big contract, but you understand my meaning. Do you feel like people aren't really appreciating the pressure he's under right now?
If Sexton is the number 1 guy in this competition, I'm worried about that people could turn on.
Exactly.
I'm really worried because, mate, the amount of people that I have send me their top 8s and they're 7 and 8th, and I'm going, fuck, yeah, they were 7th and 8th last year, but
they could easily be 12th again this year.
Mate, that a 10 and 14 record, it should be 12th, it should be 13th. I think it's going to be tough. If they have one injury in that spine, what happens. It's
And the concern is
if he loses AJ Brimson, they are in serious, serious trouble, and it's all gonna fall on this guy's head.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's supremely talented. I really like him, but it is a big ask. If you put Andrew Johns at age 19 in this team, it'd be a big fucking ask.
100%.
It's a tough gig. People are undervaluing how difficult his job is this year.
And let's say they finish 12th. That could be a symptom of the fact that the bottom 8 sides have gotten better. You can't tell me that the bottom 8 sides rosters aren't better than they were last year. You know, the Dogs roster is way better. The Broncos roster is way better. Even, you know, the Tigers roster, I would say, is better.
The Warriors is better with SJ.
Warriors, Dragons roster is better. And so I feel like we're going to... And also, they've had an extra year to get their rules sorted, to train with it. Like, the concern is you're right. If they had the same record, but they finished 13th or 12th or 13th or even 14th, everyone's going to blame Sexton and say, well, he's the difference. We got rid of Fogarty and we kept him. We got rid of Ash Taylor and we kept him. When in reality, this is a 19-year-old kid that has been put in a position where, like, who is there to put pressure on Sexton? Who's there to lead Sexton as a 7? Like, Brimo hasn't played 6 for quite some time. Erin Clark is, you know, just surprisingly got his role. And then you got Jaden Campbell, who's played 7 games. Again, and this is not a reflection of Sexton's talent and where we think he can be. It's a reflection of the pressure that has been put on him by things out of his control. Now, if he delivers, then fucking boom. What was your uncle? How good? Sexton's a gun. But if he even if they just have the same record as last year, he could be considered a disaster for you know, the fans could turn on him. It's a real. I just don't think a lot of people are appreciating the position he's been put in. Like, they don't have Fogarty. They got rid of Ash Taylor. You know, they got Tanner Boyd, who was playing 9, so they clearly see him as a 9. I assume. Who else have they got there that's going to alleviate that? It's a tough gig.
Mate, you look at that ladder from last year. If the teams that finished 9th, 10th, and 11 win one more game each, but they finished 12th.
Yeah, totally. I hope he does kill it.
Yeah. Oh, so do I. And he's got the potential to be able to kill it. 100%.
I was really with his first 4 games. I was really impressed, and I totally can see why the Titans made this decision. So it's not me saying like don't get me wrong. I don't understand. Like, getting rid of Fogarty for me, like, I could understand if they said, Sexton, you're starting, Fogarty, and you're in reserve grade. I could get that because he really did impress me. He really, really did. So I can see why the Titans made his call, but it's just like, boys, he's not remembering like Ash Taylor, who had Andrew Johns, Matty Johns, like all these people saying he is the next thing. Jonathan Thurston. He had less pressure. I'd argue when he first started, Ash Taylor was in a less vulnerable position than... Because who was his half partner?
I'll tell you right now, Ash Taylor was more talented at the same age than Toby Sexton was.
Yeah.
I'll die on that hill. Mate, can you get up the 4 games he played last year, who he played? From memory, I think the first three games he played were a team sort of below them. And I think he played South Sydney in the 4th game, and I think that was a bit of a shock to him, as it should be. He's 18 years old.
Yeah.
But I think for the Titans next year, there's going to be a lot more teams that are on top of them. That I think it's going to be a tough year for them.
You're right. Dragons, Bulldogs, Cowboys, Rabbitohs.
Could that have been better? He was good. There's no doubt about it. He's really talented, but I want people to realise that it's not this kid's fault.
Yes. Give him time and understand that, like, it's the Titans' recruitment decisions that have put him in this position. You know, if he kills it, then the Titans are geniuses, and we're going to be on this podcast saying, you know what, Titans made the best decision ever. We were totally wrong. Fogarty should have been moved on. Blah blah blah. Really interesting. Really interesting. I do hope he kills it. I do hope people are patient with him. I think that, like, if you're the Titans, I'd be going into the market for a really experienced half that's willing to play reserve grade, even a half that's not up to NRL standard but's played a lot of NRL, just to give him that, like, safety net of, like, mate, it's all good, don't worry about it, blah blah blah.
And if it's not him, it's the next bloke we got on this list, Tom Weaver.
Yep.
Hasn't played first grade yet. I don't think he's actually played Queensland Cup yet. He's only played the Mal Meninga Cup, which I think is like the under-20s version or whatever it is. But he looks very, very impressive. I think he was best on ground in that grand final that they won for Tweed. Another halfback that's got huge ability. So, and I'm pretty sure you might want to deal, Matty. I think he was the Australian schoolboys halfback. So over the last 5 years, they've got Sexton, Weaver, and they've got Tanner, who have all been the Australian schoolboys 7. The ability is there. Fuck, it's hard when you don't have a bloke that's played more than 10 first grade games to help him out, though.
So do you think that it's kind of like a risky call of like, we'll get the young best 7s in the comp and just hope that they develop, but that's not how it works. You need the older guy.
And let's be honest here, the Titans are always going to be able to find good halfbacks because they've got Palm Beach Currumbin up there. They are constantly producing quality 7s, but not a heap of them have kicked on over the last few years because they haven't ended up in good systems. You need to have experienced guys there.
I wonder whether Scotty Prince has been on the blower. They call Scotty Prince and say, mate, come down and work with our halves. Pay him, whatever the amount is. I'm sure they can afford it because I think that could help a lot.
I think it helps, but I still think you want a player.
Yeah,
you want to go that's in the trenches with you. You want.
I wonder who is working with him in the halves. Surely it's an ex-player. Very, very hard to not have an ex-NRL player in your halves working with you.
Yeah, I'm not sure who it would be. I mean, Princey could be there, and he seems to be on the touch football.
Scene in that.
Scene absolutely carving people left, right. Yeah. Imagine showing up to touch.
Scotty Prince.
It's
killing you.
Pull a hamstring for a walk on.
Interesting times at the Titans. Look, we're talking glass half empty. If you're looking at a glass half full, they've got some of the best young 7s in the comp.
And if they do well over the next 3 years, it's anything.
Bets are off. You've got Tino at 21. Yeah. You got Fafita at 21. You got Brimo at like 23, 24. Jaden Campbell's 19 or 20. Sorry. So huge few years for the Titans. It could make him, it could break him. Really interesting. I mean, what would be cool though? Imagine if we could get Sexton up with Reynolds or something like that for the Broncos.
Imagine all of a sudden this whole narrative is just.
Sexton comes out.
And if Fogarty's still there, the whole narrative changes for me.
Yeah. The Fogarty thing, I'll never understand. The only thing I could understand is the Titans were like, all right, mate, you've got a great deal down there. We're not going to stand in your way. But as a ruthless business, you just got to be like, bruh, sorry.
Mate, especially when you look at where your business is at. We've got so much young talent here. Fuck, it'd be handy to have and you know what? He's not even a heaps experienced halfback, but he's experienced in football.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's worth an absolute heap.
And what I'm not getting as well is like, when you have the conversation with Fogarty, I'm sure the concern was, from Fogarty's perspective, you've told me that Sexton is the starting 7. So why do I need to stay here if I'm not going to get a fair crack at first grade? But what I'm not getting from the Titans' perspective, why wouldn't you say, no, he hasn't got the position, it's up for grabs? Because you don't need to back Sexton yet. He's still a teenager. He hasn't earned the right to be backed from a coach like that. Now, in saying that, it does become complicated because maybe in contract time, Sexton's team was like, we'll take unders, but you better guarantee us a starting spot. That could be a potential. Or maybe they needed to free up cap space and Fogarty was on a decent wicket. Very, very complicated. I would, you know what? I would love to know what happened because I'm sure there is a lot of information that we don't know. I mean,
there must be more to it.
There must be more to it.
Because it's not like he's gone to Melbourne. He's gone to the Roosters.
Yeah.
He's gone to the Canberra Raiders, who from the outside looking in, it looked like there was issues there all season. And I mean, it's a very strange one. I mean, his team played finals. The Canberra Raiders didn't with their squad. It's
very interesting.
It's not like, I mean, he's not, well, in my opinion, he's not moving to a nicer part of Australia.
Look, I think that's not an opinion. I think it's a fact.
Yeah, I think that's a fair shout.
It's a fucking fact.
And my missus are lighting up.
Yeah, my missus is from Canberra. I love her more than I love myself, and I say that. So I say it with all love and all due respect. Thank you, Canberra, for producing something that means so much to me, but I apologise. The area that you live in, not as good as the Gold Coast. Just going to throw it out there. Is that a hot take?
Looking for fireworks and porn outside of that.
Is that a hot take, Gold Coast being a better area to live than Canberra? Is that a hot take?
Surely not.
You know what? It's the internet. It's a hot take to someone. Fuck the Gold Coast. Fucking bunch of fucking people with tattoos, sleeves. Fucking, interesting times. In saying that, Fogarty and Sticky, I think they get such a great relationship because like Fogarty's not a prima donna. He's a battler that just struggled his way to first grade. So he's going to be a yes sir, no sir, how much sir, where, when, and how. What do you want me to do? Whereas sometimes a coach like Ricky, if you get a prima donna, they just clash because it's like if he doesn't yes sir, no sir him, it's all of a sudden, well, you're not on my team, so fuck. See you. I mean. We saw.
And once again, I don't know these three halfbacks from a bar of soap, but they've been Australian schoolboys halfbacks. They've been hot property. They're just coming out of school where they've been the guy the whole time. To have a guy like Fogarty, who's never been the guy, would be pretty fucking handy.
You can teach him everything about the tough stuff of rugby league, of like not making it and how lucky they are to be there.
Yep.
And you're right. We don't know these guys, so they could have that already sorted. Like mentally, they could already be there. So it's interesting. What we actually do each year is at the end of the year, and we're going to make this tradition. We did it last year. Is we go back at all the stuff we said, the big things we said, and we go, we got that wrong, we got this right, we got that wrong.
Can't wait.
And so it'd be really interesting. I think this is going to be really interesting.
Yeah.
Did we get it wrong? Did we get it wrong? And Sexton turned out to be great.
Where do they finish?
Look, I know it's a bias, but I can't help but compare them to the Broncos. And I look at that Broncos side and I look at that Titans side, and it's clearly biased. It's clearly biased. And I'm from the fucking Gold Coast, but I don't think I think that Broncos side should beat that Titans side 7 times out of 10. So I just can't find a spot for them in the 8. I can't, like, when you really look at that Broncos roster for what they should do an extra year with Payne Haas, Katoni Staggs back on the field, Adam Reynolds, Kurt Catewell, Selwyn Cobbo. I just can't find a spot them in the 8. I just can't. I want to because I've obviously been from the Gold Coast, and Campbell's one of my most keen players to watch, and I love watching Brimo play. I just can't find them in the 8.
I've got them 11th or 12th for me.
That's probably where I'd land them to at the moment. If Fogarty's in the side, or at least in the squad, that might change a little bit for me. But now Jojo Fafita, so he is obviously David Fafita's cousin.
Yeah, cousin he is, and he's come from Union. He was playing 13 in Union, which is outside centre. Very rangy, very quick. Moves a bit like David. I think he'll probably end up in the back row long term. He's definitely one to keep an eye. He's very raw, hasn't played a heap of league. I think he's come straight from Union, essentially.
Yeah.
But he's one I wouldn't be surprised if you see him this year. In saying that, a lot of quality outside backs at the Titans.
Yeah, they do have roster-wise, they're in a better position than they have been for quite some time.
Yeah.
Probably since the Preston Prince days, I'd say.
It's just that your key guys are young.
Yeah, so young. And they've never played together.
Yeah.
Like, essentially, like, Brimo's played... they've never... Erin Clark would have played with Campbell maybe a little bit off the bench. Anyway.
They're they remind me of Newcastle. It's a similar sort of position. That everything else is sorted. It's just your spine that worries you, and that's so important.
Saying that, like, Newey have like Origin players, you know, like
yeah,
they've got
for sure.
Fafita and Tino, but outside of that,
yeah, but they've also got outside backs that they wouldn't be paying too much. That I think are very fucking good.
Patrick Herbert is like I felt like. Obviously, he should have passed that ball at the end, and we all make mistakes on the footy field. I felt so sorry for him because he was so good that whole game. He was so good that whole game, and he's, in my opinion, one of the most underrated centres in the NRL.
Did you see his quote the other day?
I loved it.
Unreal. So good.
Loved it. Man, I honestly, I felt like messaging him like, bruh, like, man, let it go. Like, you were a gun last year. Like, some of the stuff that he did, yeah, I'm a huge Herbert fan.
Then you got him. I think Brian Kelly could play Origin and handle himself too.
When he debuted at Manly, I was going, fuck, who is this kid?
I can't believe they let him go.
Yeah, I was surprised they let him go.
He's from up that way. He's a Ballina boy, so maybe he wanted to get home. I'm not sure, but he's an absolute weapon. I mean, Philip Sammy has played Origin and has handled himself. So they've got
Isan Masters, who at the Tigers in his first year was one of the best centres in the comp.
Yep.
I think he made Phil Gould's team of the year. Ran for the most metres of any centre in the NRL in 2018, I think it was. Isan Masters on his day is also a weapon. And they would have got him for peanuts as well.
You got this Marsu who we're just starting to see now.
Yeah, Greg Marsu as well. Fuck, he's a big boy. Wow.
Goes to the gym, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think he does gym. Can you confirm that, please?
I'll Google it for you.
Does Greg Marsu go to the gym? And apologies if we're saying that wrong. Is it Mazhu?
I'm not exactly sure. He actually changed his name. For years, he was Greg Lesiano or something like that. I can't because it was a few years ago he changed it. But he's been spoken about at Parramatta for years.
Oh, really? Is it Para?
Yeah, he was at Para, but his name was different then. Then he changed his name and he arrived up the Gold Coast and he finally got to play. And he's
New year, new me kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, yeah. Any of your Supercoach fans would have known about this guy for 5 years.
Oh, okay.
Because it just looked like the next Semi-Radradra every single year.
That crew, they love me, the Supercoach crew.
Love you, adore you.
Supercoach but hate me because I always put shit on with memes. Oh, it's all love though, baby. It comes from a place of love. I'm just taking the piss out of you. I get the piss taken out of me every day in comment section. No, you know what I love about the Supercoach fans is like when you're talking about the core of rugby league fans,
It's them.
it is 100% them.
Yep.
These guys are not only watching rugby league, it's almost a second job. They are truly the core of rugby league. Like there is no doubt. Remember when I messaged you, what would have been a year ago, and I was like, I want to do something with the Supercoach kind of crew and that.
You remember what I said to you?
Yeah, probably don't because I fucking hate you.
Oh, they'll probably kill you. I don't know.
And then I laughed my head off and said, the trolling's working. Job done. Job done. No, but they are the core. Like they truly are. If you're talking about like the heart of footy fans, it's Supercoach fans and people that play like local footy.
I have like mates that are diehard Rabbitohs fans and they will cheer on their rooster who is in their Supercoach
that's
team. It's sort
crazy.
of that sort of.
It's crazy. Yeah, so look, Titans roster-wise, really, really good. If Sexton and Thomas Weaver can get through this period, this first year, then they are truly, because like I think their CEO came out and said something along the lines of like, we've got a 4-year plan or a 3-year plan. Then boom, they truly are on the trajectory to.
Yeah.
If they make finals this year, they are on the trajectory to.
If I'm wrong, which I quite often am, Titans are flying.
Yeah, absolutely, totally agree. Because like if Sexton does turn into the half that his trajectory is on, then all of a sudden you've got Jaden Campbell, one of the hottest properties in the NRL right now. You've got Brimo, who killed it in Origin and is just a gun player. And then you got Sexton. The only other recruit you might need to make is maybe at 9, maybe, because like you still got depth there. So yeah. Now on to Manly. We've got first man up is KO Weeks. Is that how you say it?
I believe so, yeah. I haven't seen a heap of this guy. He's been playing Reggie's there. Looks talented. There's not really a heap of guys in their top 30 you haven't heard of.
Yeah, okay.
The one I'm probably more excited about is the next one. I believe it's pronounced Cooler. He's the one that apparently he's faster than Jason Saab. He's come out of Newington. If you go on YouTube and you type in either of these two names, it's these two setting each other up in reserve grade.
Yep.
They both look really talented, but a lot of depth in the outside backs at Manly. Cooler, if you see him
I
this
think there's
year,
a bit of room in the fullback position to get to nab that.
could be open, could it?
All right. I just don't think he's cemented his spot. And also, you got to put pressure on him. Just imagine Desi come out and said, "No, everyone's battling for jerseys this year."
Yeah.
The good old everyone's battling for jerseys. That is such a. Hey, people listening, when a coach says everyone's battling for jerseys, is nonsense. The 13 is basically picked, except for 1 or 2 spots, and those 1 or 2 spots are because a player has signed somewhere else. The good old fighting for jerseys, like, give me a break, man. Even like. What's funny is like they'd say it to the team, like the squad at the start of every preseason.
You have to, though.
And you just look at each other going, fuck, you're Carmichael, Lockie and Petro and Webke and Brad Thorne and David Stagg and Hodges and do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, their positions are up for grabs. Like
I say to my under 16s team and I know that they know I'm full of shit. 100%.
Yeah, so really interesting. Saab level fast, that's interesting because I wonder whether it's he beat him in 20 metres. Because like Saab's first 10 isn't as quick because obviously he's such a big body, but Saab's top speed is obviously really, really like incredible. So also, if Foxtel's KO doesn't do some promo with KO Weeks, I'm not here. If KO Weeks becomes a superstar and they're not like, are you watching KO this week? They go, are you watching KO this week? And then they wait 10 seconds and go, just so it's
If he steals that fullback jersey, might be perfect to squat.
I'll tell you what, if he does steal that, I'd be fucking signing on a 10-year deal with KO. So
He was always in the New South Wales pathways a year early, KO Weeks. So
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he was always around that pathways camp.
That's good. Good signs. Really good signs. I tell you what Manly has managed to do when it was looking like an absolute disaster a couple of years ago, like in the media, we don't have training facilities, the coaches are getting sacked, the club's struggling financially. Like, we forget 2 years ago, Manly were a shit show.
Yeah.
Like, Manly were, they 15th, were they?
Yeah.
15th.
Yeah, those few years that Trent Barrett was there, it was, and I actually don't think that's a reflection on Trent Barrett. I just think you need Manly people in there.
Yeah. I think that it's similar-ish to Broncos situation where regardless of who took over Wayne, it's just a Wayne club. Like, obviously we need to move past that. I think Manly was similar-ish. They had so much success under Tuvi and Desi that, like, it's kind of like their club, like, very hard to come in and, you know, Trent's coming from Penrith, was it?
Yep.
And so it's a very different system out there. Was it?
No, he went to Penrith.
Where
did he
Penrith.
come from before that? I'm not even sure. Was that his...
Can you check his wiki, please? Because that's always correct, the wiki.
I remember, though, talking to... And, like, just an example of how different Manly is to other systems, or has been. When Dylan Walker left South and went to Manly, he told me about his first day, and he got out of his car and, you know, took his bag in with him. Jamie Lyon said, "Where the fuck are you going to put that?" He said, "Oh, I might change him." He goes, "No, leave it in your car. We don't do that." Left in his car, and at the end of training, he went to have a shower, and he said he couldn't find the showers. Fuck. Then he went out to the car park, and Jamie Lyon was under the hose, and it rattled him because he went from South Sydney that was just top shelf. But whether you're showering in a shower or under a hose, you win games of football.
Well, you know, what's funny is that, like, I've spoken to quite a few of that older generation, and they all kind of had this pact. It was like this agreement of, like, play hard, train hard, old school, the boys together. We don't need none of that shit. Like, very, very... And what's interesting is that when the fracture did happen in the club, and obviously we don't know the full details, but, you know, Anthony Watmo has spoken on a bit, but there was this older crew that had kind of come together and said, we will take pay cuts, you know, we will this, that, and the next thing. Whereas, like, when the next generation comes through, it's very hard to keep that under control, especially... Rugby league changed. It's not like what it used to be. Whereas, like, Manly was a throwback, and it was also, like, it was very different to, like, even the Storm. They were such rivals, but Storm were very, like, you know, a lot of video sessions, a lot of this. Whereas, like, Manly with this old school, just a real old school mentality of just like, yeah, we get on the beers, we get pissed and that together, but at the same time, when we get on the field, we rip and tear.
When you were at the Broncos, were you training in an old school gym, or were you in one of these state of the art?
No, see, I don't know where I land on this. There's something about forcing, like, our gym wasn't, like, old, like, shocking, but at the same time, it was, like, just a small gym. And there's something I do believe about that like gives it this kind of, like, gritty nature as a rugby league player. I mean, we went to Warriors and their gym was, like, in their stadium and it was much bigger, and it was almost this is because Broncos was my home, so obviously anything that's not your home doesn't feel familiar. But there was something kind of like it wasn't cozy. Whereas the Broncos gym, like, I just remember Dan Baker, the gym, like, he was so good and just, like, stinking, sweating up and fuck it, just like, I didn't even think we were allowed music at that stage. Obviously things have changed, but it was just purely about getting big and strong in this shitty little gym. Whereas obviously now it's state of the art. I wonder sometimes when you have young guys coming through in state of the art systems, like, it makes them feel better than they really are.
And I imagine when you were, you know, not talking for you, but I imagine that, you know, when you were in that gym at the Brisbane, you would have known the guys that come before you using that shit, and it would have been the same stuff from 10 years ago.
Yep, for sure.
I personally think that stuff has an impact on you.
Yeah, it is. It's really interesting. It seems like a small detail, but it kind of like flows down from everything. Like, there's history in that gym.
Yep.
There is a respect for the history, and then also that makes you, like, respect the older players and that blah blah blah. And so Manly, I guess what happened, you know, he came, and very hard for him to know that history when they're such an old school club at Manly. But for them to turn, like, what just blows my mind is Des Hasler, who's, like, the king of science. Like, he's the science man. The mad professor goes there with essentially the same roster and takes him in that deep run until they get knocked out in the semi, not the prelim. Was it the prelim? Semi.
Semi, yeah.
Because Rabbitohs went on to the prelim and then they got picked out. It's one of the great turnarounds.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And I mean, yeah, without taking anything away from Des, like I think it obviously coincides with Jake and Tom coming of age to some extent as well. Speaking of coming of age, the next man is Ben Trbojevic.
Yeah, interesting.
I've been told by many people, I shouldn't say, I haven't been told this year, I got told last year, no one's probably saying it anymore, but that he could have been the best out of all of them so far, that he's sort of a hybrid of both of them. He's sort of a second row / centre. He's only played 4 games, first grade, vast majority off the bench, not really having much impact.
Well, his first game he got knocked out in his first tackle, didn't he?
Yeah.
Or Bloke.
Yeah. So
Fucking hell.
there isn't a heap of form there, but you watch his highlights coming through and stuff. He was quite often in a team with Josh Schuster, and some of the shit they did together was unbelievable.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ben, I think you'll see him in this side somewhere, but if at the end of the season he's played 10 games altogether, I won't be surprised. I don't think this is the year he really explodes.
Are you concerned about, and I'm not saying that I am concerned about this, but are you concerned about this Trbojevic name, like that pressure now is like, if he is just good, he's actually bad to the fans. Do you know what I mean? If he is just solidly good in the NRL, it'll be like, oh, he's shit. But in reality, it's just because he's a Trbojevic, you expect him to go out and be the next Gaznia in the centres or the next, Steve Menzies or something in the edges there and that.
I get what you're saying, but from what I've seen of him, I'm not concerned.
Not concerned at all?
Yeah, I think he'll be okay.
No, I agree. Like, I don't think it is a concern. I don't think it will happen, but I do believe that there is a potential for that name, that weight, just to affect him a little bit, Like, let's say he comes in and he just plays okay for the first year. Imagine what everyone's going to be saying online and shit. I'd
probably argue it'd be a little bit different if he was a fullback or a middle.
Yeah, okay.
I think because he plays a different position, you're probably looking elsewhere. But I also think that these two, they are just so loved by, I was going to say Manly fans, but by everyone. You can't find any. Like, if you've got a reason to hate Tom or Jake, you're kidding yourself.
Give me a break. Absolutely kidding yourself. But yeah, if you get the chance, go and watch Ben Trbojevic highlights because it is impressive. And what's interesting is he's thicker than Tom Trbojevic, but a little bit shorter. But he's taller than he's truly. If Jake and Tom had a baby, it'll be Ben.
He's a hybrid.
He's a hybrid. So it is really going to be interesting seeing him in that second row position. If he does grow into that same athletic ability as Tom. Could you imagine a bloke with Tom's footwork in that, but Jake's strength?
Yeah,
it'll be crazy.
And that's what he is.
Yeah, wow.
Like it's scary. I don't know if he's a centre or a second rower. I honestly think the position he plays will be determined by Manly's roster.
Yeah, very true. Very, very true.
And then
just winding back. Trent Barrett he was actually at Penrith before Manly as well. In their 20s team. Sorry, coaching their 20s team.
Okay, so and Penrith's building of excellence or whatever, what's it called again? The
Centre of Excellence.
Centre of Excellence. So going from that to Manly, very, very old school, that's probably why, he was struggling with the lack of facilities, which is fair. Like, all the best clubs now have good facilities. New age of footy, yeah. And then last, obviously, Latu Fano, only 16 years old though, but he's signed the biggest contract.
Black book. You just need to be aware of this kid.
Yep.
Because when he arrives, he's going to hit you like a train. I think we said it last week, but you could potentially end up with a Fino at hooker, Fino at 5'8", a Trbojevic at lock, a Trbojevic at fullback, a Trbojevic at centre.
Yeah.
And I think there's also another Fino in the squad, and I think there's a couple younger as well. So,
wow.
Scary.
So, yeah, Manly just, their ability, like every single player they've got right now has re-signed till you know what I mean? They've just, I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they managed to, it was looking like a disaster to all of a sudden, everyone's locked up on contracts. There seems to be no kind of infighting. There's no dramas. There's no issue. You know what I mean? Like, that was a quick turnaround. Shit like that usually takes years turnaround. So credit to everyone there.
Well, in saying that, if you rewind to round 4 of 2021, Hasler was getting sacked in 2 weeks. If you read the papers. Yeah.
I remember when they were like, reporters were asking him, do you need someone to come in and help you in that? And he was like, God, okay. That for me was bizarre because like literally the year before, they'd gone deep-ish into the finals, and they didn't have Tom Trbojevic as well.
Yeah.
And 4 games in, they're talking sacking, and that's like, you got to give some time, surely, especially to one of the great. Like he was a super coach, like in the same vein as Bellamy, Wayne, and Trent hadn't started yet. But do you know what I mean? He was getting mentioned in that during that period where he was at the Manly, then went to Bulldogs. He was in the same
That's
conversation.
the thing, like, you got to remember, he went to the 07 grand final, lost that. Went to the 08, won that. Went, what was it, 2012 and lost that. Sorry, went 2011, won that. 2012, lost that. 2014, lost that. So what's that? That's like 5 grand finals in 7 years or something.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's Bellamy-esque.
Yeah.
And it was at 2 different clubs.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I don't know what happened to the Doggies, and I've said this before, and you know, a lot of people have, not a lot of people, some people disagreed, but I feel like maybe Desi made mistakes. Or not maybe. I'm sure he made mistakes. But the campaign, when he left to make it look like he was 100% the problem, he did all these back-ended deals and this, that, and the next thing. I just think that, like, the proof's in the pudding. Look where Manly are right now.
Yeah.
Like, so was it really all Des's fault? I don't think so. Like, I think there's hard facts to say no. Like, he came to the Doggies, they killed it. He killed it before at Manly. They had a few lean-ish years. And now he's at Manly, they're killing again. Not only are they killing it, so when he took over Manly, they were 15th. The Dogs were 12th. You know what I mean? He took that same Manly roster, deepish into the finals, and Bulldogs went backwards.
Tell me Des was the only guy at Canterbury that was signing contracts and had anything
it's
to
a
do
bizarre,
with it.
I don't, like...
It's like they act like he forced them into doing it.
Yeah, like chief financial officer, it's called CFO, the guy that spent 4 to 8 years at uni learning how to take care of numbers. Desi, like what? Like grabbed him and held his hand. Like it doesn't make sense to me. The campaign was so effective though. Like I remember there was one article where it was like, what Desi has done is almost criminal. Like literally there was an article about that. So yeah, look, I'm sure he did do things wrong. Every coach makes mistakes, even Wayne, even Bellyache and that. But yeah, that whole narrative to me, I feel like he has, since going back to Manly, has truly proven that narrative or the campaign to make him look that way probably wasn't 100% accurate.
Probably no one at Canterbury complaining when they were in their second grand final in 3 years too.
And like the year that he left, I think they only missed finals once, and they were like, "Nah, you got to go." And it's like, bruh, like look where you. Anyway.
And he like, I mean, we look back and we think about that South Sydney grand final, Matt. Did you blow them off the park in reality?
It was 6-6 with 15 minutes to go.
Yeah. Everyone forgets.
Yeah.
Melbourne just beat them in 2012. Slater comes up with that unbelievable play where he punches it over the dead ball line. Like, game, like if one or two things go his way and the momentum didn't swing so heavily late, or if he's won 2.
Look at that Rabbitohs roster in 2014.
Stacked.
Absolutely crazy roster. Yeah. So anyway. Manly turnaround has been great. Really interesting though, because like there's this kind of like just a tiny bit of me, like 99% of me is like, you know, finals footy, but like there's that first 4 games and then they struggled in the big games has just scarred me enough to go, would I bet the house on it that they're going to be a top 4 side again, top 5 side? I wouldn't bet the house on it. There's just that little voice in the back of my head that is concerned that if it's happened before, could it happen again? But most of me says that, you know...
I'm confident they'll be top 6, but I've got that voice in the back of my head screaming they're not going to be contenders under the...
But do you have a little concern that, like, they could even miss the 8 if things go wrong for them? You know, like, let's say Tom doesn't, you know, touch wood, gets injured, or DCE gets injured. Is there any little...
Yeah, I mean, but...
that's with any team, really.
That's with any team outside of the top 3, realistically.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Going to be interesting. I think Desi, if he isn't sitting there on the board going, okay, when's the first time we play Penrith and when's the first time we play Storm or Roosters, and circling those games and going, these are literally the most important games of the year for us, because if we get up and show we can do these big games, their confidence goes through.
Do you have the Manly draw there? Do they play any of the... I've got a feeling they might play Penrith early off the top of my head.
Huge
Penrith
game.
Manly is the first game of the year.
Yep, that sounds about right.
I mean, that's such a big
No
game.
Cleary, though, but still, it'll be a huge one for them to win.
Is Cleary out?
Oh, well, we're assuming so.
It's not like 100%, but it's most likely that he'll miss the first couple.
Yeah,
of games.
I don't think they're going to rush
Him
him
back,
back for round
okay.
one, personally.
Okay.
Yeah, they got Manly have Penrith, Roosters first 2 rounds, then Dogs.
Roosters then's the game. Roosters is the game because
it's the
Penrith
one.
without Nathan's a different team. Roosters is a game where you go, where are we at? Are we, was it just we struggled at the end of the year because we just struggled? But anyway, it's good signs for a Manly fan. It's good times. Now, onto the Storm. I tell you what, it's so weird, man. Every time we give a young guy a massive rap, he gets locked up in a big contract. Remember Jaden Campbell?
Yeah.
I was like, mate, if I'm a club, I'm signing him on a big deal immediately. And then a day later, boom, deal gets announced. Obviously, I'm not saying that the recruitment isn't going, oh, shit, we better sign him. But it's just a funny coincidence. But anyway, Jack Holworth, signed a 5-year deal at the Melbourne Storm. You wouldn't read about it. I don't even think Cameron Smith got a 5-year deal.
Not when he'd played 0 games. It's unbelievable to think that they have signed someone for this long who hasn't played a game of rugby NRL yet. It's fucking crazy.
Is it because he's that good, or is it because they're feeling the pressures of the market?
I can't imagine a world where this would happen. Even to go deeper, he's not a halfback. He's not a 5'8". He's not a hooker. He's a role player. He's got huge upside. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, mate, we spoke about him for half an hour the other day, how high he was. And when I saw 5 years, even I sort of went,
yeah, I was like,
good God.
Whoa, I would have thought 2 years max. But at the same time, so I left, someone asked me the question, or do you think they're feeling the pinch? And I was like, I actually think what they've done is just taken a leaf out of the Rabbitohs and Roosters books, because when Cam Murray and Bradley were coming through, they both got signed on 4-year deals. And the way that has helped their cap, for example, Victor Radley now on the open market, what, 600, 700, 800K even?
You push 8.
You could push 8.
He's won 2 comps.
He's probably on 400K max, because he signed a long-term deal. Cam Murray, who only just recently resigned, but before that he was on a 4-year deal, he was playing Origin. He would have been on about 300K. So the risk reward, when you look at a guy like Holworth, as long as he doesn't get injured and he's so talented, if he is a back rower, I know he's listed as centre. I just think he's a back rower. I just, for some reason, I can't get in my head seeing him playing centre. I could be wrong though. But Holworth, I just think that although it is very shocking for the Storm to do it, can you imagine in 3 years' time if he does become the player he is and he's only on 400-500K?
Yeah, I said to you the other day that what we've seen it in the highlights reminded me a lot of Angus Crichton. I was having a look the other day. He is taller and heavier than Angus is now.
That's why I can't. I just.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I think he will start in the centres.
Yeah.
But based on how their squad looks.
That's a big centre. Fuck me.
Yeah. But in saying that, how their squad now looks without Nas and Tui, he might end up as your extra forward on the bench. Either way, I think he's going to do very well. But yeah, the 5 years rattled me. I refreshed my phone because I was like, nah, surely not. That's un-Melbourne.
Is this has the new age of rugby league finally caught up to the Melbourne Storm? No, please do not conflate that with, oh shit, panic stations for the Melbourne Storm. But the Melbourne Storm for so long had that old school, they controlled the culture. But it just seems that this last 12 months has been it's almost like a pandemic has finally hit Melbourne, and New South Wales and Queensland have been dealing with it for the last 5 years. Finally, Melbourne has had to go, fuck, we need to put a 5-year deal together. What do you think?
Yeah, it could also just be a response to someone else. I'm sure there would have been probably 15 other teams sniffing around this kid. So, I'm not sure what to make of it. It still kind of shocks me that it's...
But think about all the things that we've never seen happen at the Storm before happen in the last 4 or 5 months.
Now. Yep.
They lost 3 captains. You put the post up, didn't you?
Yeah,
three captains in a row.
Years. Yeah.
Are we just seeing the ushering in finally of the modern athlete to the Storm? For example, the Cheese, he became almost a cult hero. I don't think Melbourne had ever had that before, really. Think back. Yeah, I'm sure they had cult issues.
I would argue as well, it's probably easier to have a cult hero now than it ever has been at the same time. But he is a very unique character. Yeah, I don't know, mate. I'm very hesitant to say too much about Melbourne because
100%.
if there was any other club in this situation, you go,
Yeah.
this is Barney Rubble. They're in all sorts. But Melbourne, I refuse to let myself think that.
I totally
falling
agree.
apart.
Because they've proven everyone wrong so many times.
Yeah.
So you're just like, I'm not saying it.
I don't want to say it.
Yeah.
My brain says on paper they're falling apart. But I just know that they could have a shocking season and finish fourth.
Yeah. Like logically, when you look at everything that's happened, you go, I am concerned. But then when you go, okay, look at the history. Every time you think you're concerned, you've been wrong.
Yeah. And then, yes, so many guys have left and they're so talented, but they will be left with Grant, Hughes, Munster, Pappy. Bellamy for years has got the very best out of anyone in the forward pack.
Yeah.
Olam's in there. You've got, I think with that spine, a little bit of strike, they've still got Remus. Xavier Coates is walking in
Remus
there now.
just re-signed as well, yeah.
Yeah,
Xavier Coates,
huge.
big body. Yeah, I do believe that their forward pack is in probably the most vulnerable position it's been right now. And what I mean by vulnerable is like, I don't have enough information to know where we're going next with the Storm. Whereas any other year, I could kind of be like, oh no, I can still see it. Like there's this guy that's part of it, this guy. Whereas like when you look at their fullback, let's say they lose Nas, and they obviously going to lose Jesse. That looks like Kenny's gone. If he just signed a 5-year deal,
Yeah.
you'd have to assume Kenny's going.
Yeah.
Kafusi's gone.
Yep. Tui Kamakamika, I don't think you can put a timeline on that.
Like that's like for 17 in your 17. It's a new time.
They're probably in 13 of every other team.
Yep. Bit like it's interesting. Again, but I'm totally with you. I don't ever want to say, oh fuck, it's finally the time the Storm, because no, it's one of the best sporting organisations in the world.
And for me, it feels different to when Slater retired, when Cameron Smith retired, when Cooper Cronk left. It feels more as a whole system. There's just holes, but
Yeah, it wasn't just like one player. They still had, a bunch of guns.
Yeah.
It's like there's all these like little things. It's like death by 1,000 cuts. I'm not saying it is death by, but just like these little things that keep pricking at them.
But at the same time, if 2 out of the 4 spine players are in the top 3 players on the field, they're not going to lose.
Yeah. Really, really interesting. Really interesting to see what positions. We have to ask the question now: are we going to see an aggressive Storm in the market now? We haven't seen it since Crocker. Since Crocker, sorry.
Yeah.
Even Coates to an extent, like he wasn't the same. Like
Mick Crocker.
Crocker was literally the best, one of the best forwards in the game.
Yeah.
Do you think we're going to see an aggressive Storm in the market?
Fuck, I hope so.
I hope so, because that's chaos.
Yeah, it's going to be unreal.
That's fucking chaos. Storm cashed up in a market, battling the Roosters. I want to see it. I want to see it so bad. Who do you think they're targeting?
I reckon they would be sniffing around Luke Thompson from Canterbury.
Okay.
Wouldn't surprise me. I think that I'm assuming that there must be some salary cap pressure up there at Canterbury because
wasn't there whispers that he was there was a chance.
There's been whispers that he's been going to go or is going to leave.
Him at the Storm.
I reckon he would be the perfect sort of guy.
He would be so good at the Storm, and it'll be so good for his career. And he's from England, so like down there wouldn't matter to him. And he's a great bloke. I do like Luke Thompson a lot. That would be a good buy, and you probably wouldn't break the bank with him either.
No, you wouldn't. No, you'd say to him, like, I'm sorry, he's come to Australia to be successful.
Yeah.
Canterbury might be over the next few years, but Melbourne will be.
Okay, I like that. Is there anyone else that you...
I don't want to say it to you, but I'd definitely be giving Payne Haas a buzz to see.
You know what's crazy is that's who I was thinking when I asked you.
Yeah.
It's like if
I didn't want to upset you, but
if I'm the Storm, from a Storm's perspective, I'm already reaching out to Haas and going, mate, we'll build a club around you. Here's your 900K a year. We will win premierships. We will give you a legacy that will be unmatched anywhere else.
yeah.
Now, Payne has just got upgraded, but I don't think he extended. So can you check the end of his contract? I think it's 2024. But that's, that timing is not too late. So you've got Jesse that's going at the end of this year. You stop gap for a couple of years, and then you make a huge play at a guy like Haas. 2024, he's only 23 years old. Yeah, that would. That's what. If you're the Storm, that's what you're doing.
I think as well, if you can't get Haas, ring Stefano at the Tigers.
Ooh.
Another
And you know what's
one.
crazy is that Stefano admitted that one of the reasons why his game went to another level after he went into camp was he was speaking to Dale Finucane.
Shocked
Said
me.
that the things that I was learning off Dale Finucane about professionalism and blah, 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 Stefano, that's a good buy. And I don't think he's on a long deal either.
No, yeah. I also think the guy that they let go, Aaron Penne, he's gone to the Warriors. I think
bring him
he's the perfect sort of guy that they...
24 for Payne.
24. Okay, wow.
So he comes off when he's 24, is that where you...
Yeah, it's his final year of his contract.
2024?
Yeah.
Right.
Ooh. Oh, man, how are the Broncos going to keep him? Can you imagine his value in 2024? What are you paying for Payne Haas 2024?
Honestly, it depends how the game plays out over the next few years.
Well, let's just assume he keeps his form up.
Yeah, and assuming the game stays the same, assuming the little leadership things that I saw last year, yeah, I reckon 8.
8?
Yeah.
Fuck, I'm pushing 9, honestly.
It's a lot of money to play for a front rower, though, man.
Imagine what he could do at the Storm.
Yeah, for sure. But
Like, he'd be scoring tries. Like, he'd be...
yeah, for sure. But if I'm Brisbane, I think I don't know.
I don't know if...
it's hard.
Yeah. Fuck. Yeah, it's tough. Could you imagine him in a side that... Like, look what he's done at the Broncos. Imagine him at the Roosters, the Storm, the Rabbitohs, like, getting quick play the balls, getting halves that are hitting him on good line. Oh, man. Scary
I also
side.
think, though, when you look at Taumalolo at the moment, that a guy like Haas is just going to be so targeted every single week. And, he's young at the moment. His tackle breaks, tries. It's unreal. But it is going to take a toll on his body.
Yeah, for sure.
Like he's 21 playing 80 minutes in the front row and a team getting bashed, and he's the one that's got to lead the way. Like that's be my only worry with Haas, but he's a generational guy.
I don't think you sign 10-year deals. I just don't know.
It's ridiculous, yeah.
Again, the argument could be made, look, if Cowboys don't give Taumalolo a 10-year deal, do they win the premiership, Like,
yeah.
Would you be willing to give a guy a 10-year deal to win a premiership if you haven't won one before? Probably. Especially if he's going to deliver for the next 4 or 5 years. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you could... Okay, so for most of Taumalolo's contract, he's delivered high quality footy. And he's been in 2 grand finals.
And I personally don't think they've even used him properly.
So that 10-year deal, I would still say is a success. Even though he's probably the only player that you would say, like, fuck, 10-year deal.
How many years has he got left?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Must be at least 3, right?
Yeah, about 3 or 4, I'd say. 3 or 4. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. 2024, holy shit, Broncos are going to be...
Mate, if the Cowboys keep struggling, did Melbourne reach out there?
Ooh. And you think the Cowboys go, look, it's fucking our cap up. We need to move you on. We'll pay $300K of it.
Because my other argument is and this is nothing against Taumalolo, it is just the reality of the game right now. Taumalolo runs for 300 metres. He breaks this record. He breaks that record. Cowboys finish 14th consistently. What he does doesn't directly lead to wins for me.
So as
in the Cowboys team.
You're thinking the Cowboys have got to make a decision of like, we're going to blow this whole squad up or we're going to try to work with what we've got kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what I just made like you post stats like me all the time, and the amount of times I post something about Taumalolo and it's unbelievable. This team doesn't win.
Same with Haas too, to an extent.
Yeah,
This shocked me. He actually comes off in 27.
27.
According to NRL.com.
Fuck. If you're the Storm, are you putting in a little feeler there and going...
What year is it now? 20. What, are we only halfway through that 10-year deal?
Yeah, we must be.
27. I wonder if the Storm do put a little bit of a... Hey, JT.
I guess it makes sense. I mean, 2015, he was very young. That was in his first 40 games or so.
Yeah.
Like he was a bench forward then.
I thought he signed it around 2013-ish. So he must have signed it 2015. He must have signed it 2016, 17.
I'm looking it up.
I'd question that, to be just off the top of my dome.
No, he must have signed it 2016 after his 2015 year. He must have re-signed for that 10-year deal then. You know what I mean?
Jason Taumalolo signs 10-year, $10 million deal 22nd of March 2017.
2017. Yeah, okay. So it was after his massive run into that finals in 2017. Wow, really interesting. Really interesting. That's going to be interesting how that plays out at the Cowboys.
Yep.
Because they can't continue this.
They can't keep doing what they're doing.
Like, it's going to be really interesting. And also, like JT, like, you know, Taumalolo might go, like, I'm one of the greatest forwards of all time. I'm not going to play the rest of my career, you know, in a team that's struggling.
And that's the thing with Taumalolo. He could go to Melbourne and he wouldn't set the same running records, but he wouldn't need to.
No.
And I think at the Cowboys, they probably need him to do that, but it's still not resulting in wins.
Yeah. You needed a guy like Thurston Morgan to take advantage of it.
And in 3 years' time, I think Hylam Lukey, I think the Hammer, there's guys there that can play that they're going to have to give some money to.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's interesting. Again, all speculation, guys. We don't have any insight or whatever.
Imagine Harry Grant off the back of Taumalolo.
Oh,
when he's probably being used efficiently in 25-minute stints. Like,
imagine like Hughes around the ruck there, just hitting him on short balls and that. Yeah,
happy.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So we've got Wishart, spine utility.
Yeah, Tyrant Wishart. He is the son of Rod Wishart, Steelers and Dragons, Kangaroo. Seen Tyrant play a little bit, playing like actual country football for Gerringong. He's been at the Dragons. I'm surprised they let him go. He can honestly play anywhere in your spine or on the wing or at centre. He's a very versatile guy. I probably think his best position will be hooker or 7 moving forward.
Yep.
He'll probably be a little bit more versatile, but I see him as sort of being a bit like Cody Nikorima.
Okay.
He's one to keep an eye on. I wouldn't be surprised if he's 14 for round 1.
Okay.
Without Harry Grant and a few other guys. I think they'll probably start with Nikorima at 9, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's...
Yeah, I read that article actually that Nikorima was like...
When you have a look at the squad, when you take Brandon Smith and Harry Grant out, they let Smoothie go. I don't think he's in the top 30 this year, so it's Nikorima and Wishart, and unless they go with like a Nick Meaney at 14.
And we're talking about Jaden Nikorima, guys, not Cody Nikorima.
Yeah. But yeah, Wishart's one to keep an eye on. I'm surprised the Dragons let him go. This Warbrick's interesting.
Okay.
He's come from rugby union.
I saw a picture of him, All Black Rugby Union, as in New Zealand.
Yeah, which is...
He looked physically impressive.
Yeah. And I mean, I've seen the Sevens highlights, but I'm sure you'll think the same. I don't know how much I read in just Sevens highlights.
Yeah, I wouldn't even fucking bother.
But he looks like he can play. And I mean, if he was at any other club, I probably wouldn't be as interested. But walking into Melbourne's system, he could be absolutely anything. The next guy there's Jordan Grant. And I haven't seen a heap of Jordan Grant, but I had a look through some of his stats, and he hasn't played many minutes in first grade. There's not much to go by. But just having a look at some of his Queensland Cup games, when he's actually played more than 60 minutes, he averages 150 metres, 30 tackles, 2 offloads, 70 post-contact. And he's able to play 60, 65 minutes. So could be a little bit of upside there.
Could be the Smokey, this typical Storm, okay player that gets turned into a bloody great player.
All of a sudden he's 18th man at New South Wales. And same old story. But the one that I'm really excited about, and I don't think you'll see him this year, but Luke Pulselli, I think it's pronounced. He hasn't played yet. He was playing for the Falcons last year. Stats there, 11 games, 13 tries, 6 tries, his 10 line breaks, 150 metres. You're shocked that the Melbourne Storm have another really good fullback that they don't use. If I had to, and don't lose your minds, if I had to describe him or pin him as someone in the NRL, the way that he moves is very Teddy, very jerky sort of movements.
Small steps kind of thing.
Small steps, small steps, but really strong. Tends to get it out the back of a block play and drag 3 over with him. That sort of character. I think.
Where does he crack into the side though?
I don't know, but if Pappy gets picked for Origin at some point,
is he big enough to play on the wing?
Maybe. It's hard to tell with that Q Cup footage.
True.
But yeah, he's one just to keep an eye. He might not be this year, but I think over the next few years, if he stays in this Melbourne system, he could. I mean, if it turns out that they need a 7 or 6 over the next few years, I think he's got the ability to be able to.
It's fucking insane. It's almost like, who cares what position he plays? Yeah. Like, he might end up being the best front row we've ever seen because he's in the Storm system. Yeah. Like, to think that Cooper Cronk wasn't actually even a half. To think that Jerome Hughes wasn't a half. So, yeah.
I'm confident in 2 years' time we'll both be making posts talking about the line of fullbacks, and this kid will be the next one.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Interesting. Now, on to the Knights. We've got Bailey Hodgson at fullback. There was one guy that I think it's like someone messaged me about Sasagi, maybe?
He's 5'8". He's pretty handy.
But anyway, Bailey Hodgson. 0 games?
Yeah, he's a fullback. I think he's cousin, nephew of Josh Hodgson. Matt, maybe you could have a look. He's some relation to Josh Hodgson. Hasn't played yet. Came over here last year. Had a lot of raps on him, but obviously wasn't in the first grade squad, so didn't play much rugby league last year. I haven't really seen a heap of him, to be honest with you, but I know Newcastle people are fans of him. I think the next guy, Dom Young, and actually, before we get off Bailey, if something happens that there are more injuries there, Josh Hodgson is going to Parramatta next year anyway. Do Newcastle potentially reach out to Hodgson during the season? I mean, can you work out if it's a nephew or a cousin?
Nephew,
yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Josh Hodgson ends up at... If I'm Ricky Stewart, I know who my future is. It's Tom Starling. I know Josh isn't going to be there next year. I wouldn't be surprised if Josh Hodgson does end up at Newcastle at some point this year.
Interesting. I mean, they could use him. He'd be so good.
You could play him at 7, to be honest with you.
Because
you could do much worse.
If he's just playing good footy, it's as good as Jaden Brayley.
Yeah.
You know, his best footy has... Like, Jaden Brayley hasn't put in the performances that Hodgson has. If they could get Hodgson up there this early, all of a sudden, it's like... I mean, I'm still worried about the Knights, but I'm no longer like...
Honestly, if he was there right now, I think I would play him at halfback just for some direction.
Yeah, that's fair. And then what you got? Clifford at 6?
Clifford at 6, yeah.
And then who you putting at 9? You putting?
I go with Randall.
Randall?
Tough bastard, yeah.
Do you consider just crash coursing Kurt Mann?
I think Kurt Mann will be 14. I think he will play some hooker.
But do you consider just going, let's crash course him, you're the number 9, mate, work on your passing, work on your defence, even though his defence is decent.
Well, that's the other problem with Kurt Mann. He's too fucking tough for his own good.
Yeah, he goes too hard.
He goes way too hard for his own good. If you pick Kurt Mann at 9, I guarantee you're going to be using Chris Randall soon because Kurt Mann's going to put his fucking head roll and put my foot and injure himself.
Yeah.
Just trying to give a compliment to Kurt Mann, but it's just the reality.
I mean, it's absolutely. I mean, I remember I spoke to Reid Marnie on my podcast, and he's like, and I even said to him, I said, do you feel like sometimes you're probably doing a bit too much work? And he's like, you know what's crazy? He's like, Mick Ennis came to my training session he was watching, and he just said to me, we said to the coach first, and he said to me, he said, mate, you got to learn when to do that. There's no point, off a tap. Why are you trying to shot a front rower? Like what's the point of that? You're not going to do it. Get a big centre in there. Get a big boy in there, or move someone over so that you're ready. Yeah. And that's all just about experience. And the GOAT of that, the absolute pinnacle of smart footy is Cameron Smith. This, physically, he should not have been able to tackle the way he did. But everything he did was smart. Everything. Yeah. Every single step he took on that field was conserving energy at the right. Do you know what I mean? Like, there was no excess fat in Cam Smith's game. Yeah. When he could walk, he would walk. It's ironic because you look at a Cam Smith and you go, you could argue one of the toughest players ever because of being in the middle for 21 years or whatever. And yet, you'd say, oh, that's taking shortcuts. You didn't try and shot this forward. But that's not what footy's about. Not everyone can be Sonny Bill Williams, and not everyone can be, Semi Radradra on the wing. So you're right. With a guy like Kurt Mann, you put him in that 9 role, he's probably going to make 80 tackles and fuck. McInnes is another example. Too tough for his own good. He would get through way too much work, and then he wouldn't have as much spark in attack.
Who was the Parramatta Eels hooker that had to retire? Pritchard. I'm not sure if I've ever seen a smaller guy be so he literally toughed his way into retiring early.
Nathan Peets also too tough for his own good. Fucked his neck. It's a double-edged sword because you want them to be tough, but at the same time,
the king of it has to be Big Dallas Johnson.
Oh, bro, he was tough. He was tough. The meaning of tough, truly meaning of tough. So Dom Young.
Yeah, Dom Young.
Is he he's not the tall...
Yeah, big
dreads?
fella. Yeah. So
he's interesting. Yeah, he's an interesting one for me.
He's very raw, though.
Yeah, my concern for me is, he's physically got the attributes. You can see it. You look at him and you go, far out. If you want to design a modern winger, big, tall, rangy, strong bloke. Yeah. But I agree with you. The rawness of it, sometimes, the errors and decision-making. I think that, we're not giving enough credit to the fact, well, I'm not at least, you are, the fact that there hasn't really been much reserve grade footy in the last 2 years. So these guys like a Dom Young haven't had the chance to really get that right.
And that's the other thing as well. There wasn't much reserve grade last year, and now the reserve grade that's coming back, Mate, I've got so many mates that were playing reserve grade who had aspirations of playing first grade that have gone, I have to get a job now.
Yeah, wow.
I can't, I think it's going to have a big influence on rugby league moving forward personally. But Dom Young.
Different spaces of the world as well. Like, it's like you kind of like things focus in on what is important to you. Like, playing a bit of footy on the weekend, it might seem a bit selfish because you're not working those extra hours to make sure your family is secure in that.
Like, I think there's a fair argument that, and as much as they don't come along all that often, but your Cody Walkers, your Mark Nichols, these guys that make it when they're 26, 27, I reckon we would have lost a heap of those guys in the last 12 months. Sure. A heap of them would have had no choice but to go, I need to go and do something.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, you can speak about it. After you retired, could you have come back a year later and gone back into the grind?
It's if you haven't played NRL yet, it'd be very tough. If you have played NRL, you know that kind of mind state. Just go, I'm back in the first grade system, but to go back to reserve grade and fight
especially
that fight again,
if you've got kids and everything, to have a year with your kids working, like I think there is going to be a gap that not enough people are going to talk about. Also, you got all these young halves. Like Sam Walker, that's what makes what he did so impressive last year is he didn't play rugby league the year before.
Yeah, it's wild. It's absolutely wild.
And you got some guys that have now missed out on 2 years, especially we already have a halves problem in rugby league. I think there's going to be a gaping hole over the next few years. But yeah, Dom Young, body, unbelievable. He can handle himself. It's just teams were able to pick him apart, which they should. He's a young bloke coming into a taped league. So, yeah, big potential though. It sort of reminds me of when Idris first burst onto the scene.
Oh, yeah, the great Jamal Idris, yeah.
But, yeah, there's, as you said before, it's the decision-making.
Yep. Especially out in the wing and centre and that. But, yeah, that'll come. I agree with your sentiments. Simi Sasagi.
Yeah, Sasagi, a lot of people, he seems to be sort of the forgotten guy at the moment. He can play. I think he's more of a 5'8", but he can fill in at centre. I think we'll see him at some point this year, especially if they don't find a 7.
Yep.
I think we will see him at some point. But once again, it's going to be tough for him. I think it's going to be tough in that team to do.
Yeah.
Well, at the age
tough times tonight.
Very tough.
Matty Croker. I know Matty Croker. He's a prop. He's also part of 257 Collective, which is Kalen Ponga and Connor Watson. It sucks that they haven't been continuing to release content. I think their content is so cool. So
it's different.
Cool.
It's unique.
It's unique, but it's like they talk a little bit of footy, but not really. And it's just I just love seeing young footy players express themselves creatively outside of rugby league. As you know, when we were coming through, that shit did not happen.
Yeah, no way.
No chance. Like, me trying to start Bloke in a bar while playing would have I honestly believe.
You were playing your games and stuff, weren't you? But it would have been... You
video games,
would have hid that sort of stuff away. Yeah, were you? Or?
Yeah, I got bullied all the time.
Yeah.
Like, bro, what the fuck are you doing, you weirdo? Rah, rah, like, and that's video games. Whereas now, everyone's got a Twitch thing on that. But yeah, if I was to try to start Bloke in a bar when I was playing, I could be totally wrong, but I feel like the senior playing crew would have sat me down and been like, bro, this is a distraction. Why are you talking about rugby league? You shouldn't be talking about other teams. You shouldn't be talking to other players. So I think it's good that we've progressed this far. Now, it's a double-edged sword. Some fans feel like, oh, well, it's distraction, but also like they don't care as much because they're focused on something else. I just think that we have to move into the modern era and we have to give footy players a financial another option for themselves, but also a creative outlet and allow them to be themselves. If they're not playing good footy, they'll get dropped and... You know what I mean? They'll make the decision. They'll make the call. Oh, this is actually affecting me or it's not affecting me.
Yeah.
Or if they don't make the call and they lose their contract, then they lose their contract. They're Gonskis.
I'm sure you'll be in the same boat. Like, I'm sure you've had many conversations like this. When I've had guys on my podcast, after they're asking questions about podcasting and social media, and I reckon I've said to at least 10 blokes that have come on that are current players, you should be doing something like this. You should put a microphone in front of you once a week, talk, give an actual insight into, that's a good idea. Yeah, I should.
Yeah.
Nothing. None of them do it. And I understand it. There's pressure. I get it.
Yeah.
But mate, the first guy to realise, and I thought it was KP, but they have sort of dropped off a little bit. But that's where it makes it hard, Matty Croker, KP, Watson. Watson leaves, and it does become difficult.
You're totally right. Like, Matt's seen me speak about it ad nauseum, but I always say to the boys, just start something and be consistent, because when you retire, if you have even a shred of personality, you will have a gigantic following. We are just in the dawning years of podcasts. Like, it's like, imagine being in a position where you were aware that TV was going to be as big as it was, and you were in the first few years. That's where we are right now. Like you need to be aware that this is a new medium. It's changed the way we live. Like we never used to be able to consume content whilst doing something else. We never used to be able to do that. It was either you sit down and you watch your TV, you sit down and you read a book, or you go and do something. The whole stratosphere has changed, and we're in this moment. Get the gold rush while the gold's there. It's right there. Get it. I even say to them all the time as well. It's like, imagine if, I put it in their head like this. Imagine you own a business and someone came to you and said, let's just estimate that an NRL game total a week gets $2 million worth of advertising. That's the value of every single brand that is advertising. Imagine if you owned a business and they said to you, you can get 10 to 15 minutes of airtime every week for free. You would be like, I'm there. Like, fucking sign me up. And that's what NRL players get when they're on the field. Like, every time you're playing and the camera's on you and you're scoring tries and you're getting free ad exposure. So why not use that to build something that is substantial that you can make money on? Anyway, I could fucking talk for hours on this shit. But
Imagine if KP went all in.
Imagine if he hired a full-time editor, vlogger, because he could. He's got the money to.
Could hire 6 or 7 of them if
I was KP, or even a guy that was on 500k, I would hire a full-time editor and producer to follow me. I'd go to the club and I'd say, this is what's happening. Tell me what I can and can't do. They would say, you're not allowed to film in the changing rooms, this, that, but they would give you the rules. And I would just be doing everything that I do normally and making him do all the work. If he did that, he would be one of the biggest athletes we've ever seen in this country. He would be absolutely huge. I say it to Connor and KP all the time. Like, they are such a good pairing of, like, they could be international stars on YouTube, in my opinion. Get a big base in Australia and then grow. Like, imagine KP and Connor going, around the world to different surf spots and like vlogging all that kind of stuff. And we could go deep into the content game if you wanted, but I try to say to the boys, like, even like Brian To'o and Jerome Luai, like, these guys have got something about them. Like, there's something about them that it draws you to them. So take advantage of it.
Look at Bo Ryan.
Bo Ryan, like
Bo Ryan had a slice of the assets that the guys have now.
Yeah.
And look what he's turned it into.
Absolutely. Look at Matty Johns.
Copped a heap of shit, no doubt about it.
Yep.
Copped a heap of shit when he was doing it. But these blokes, they don't need to ring for the footy show and go, hey, I'm going to spend an hour walking down to the street talking to people. Can you give me a gig? You need your fucking phone. You're on it all the time anyway.
Yep. And
the first player to realise is going to shit in.
Yeah. And you've already got a base of people that know who you are. So it's like, for example, when I quit rugby league, I played a couple of years. Like, no one really knew Denon. Like, Denon Kemp was not someone that you sat there and went, oh, what's Denon Kemp doing? Like, he's a big ex-player and this, that. I was a nobody. I had no Instagram, no Facebook. So I had to build it up truly from zero. Now, there was like, maybe 1,000 people that remembered me and enough to want to follow me and see what I was doing post-footy. But, like, really? No one. These guys have got, 20, 30, 40, 100, 200K followers. I mean, the power of that is crazy. If you start providing content, the money you'll earn from that content long term will be 10 times what you earn as an NRL player.
I mean, like, if you have a look at what Alex Johnson's doing at South Sydney, it is so simple, but it's effective, and we all watch them.
We all watch them, and it's almost like, if he doesn't do that content, he's just a quiet, good winger that we enjoy. But all of a sudden, we're like, Alex Johnson's funny.
Yeah, he's funny.
He makes funny content, and when he puts it up, I watch it.
I think the average person is more likely to follow him because he does that than the best player in the game.
Totally agree. So yeah, it's such an interesting space, and I agree with you. I felt like Kalen was kind of like the first guy to get it. And yeah, if I was KP, I'd be hiring someone for sure, like someone I trust. Imagine him with a professional editor. The stuff that he could chop up. Roger started doing it when he went to Union. So Roger, now he's over in New Zealand. His brother, I think it's Johnny Tuivasa.
Yeah, Johnny. Yeah, who's doing very well in that space. Who is
killing
it.
Yep. Another perfect example. Johnny Tuivasa never played NRL. He was an under-20s player. That's it. He is now bigger than most NRL players, just because he went into the content game and he was respected enough where he had been in an NRL system, so he had that check of approval. But yeah, so Roger goes to New Zealand, starts putting out that kind of cool content. Like I'm reposting it. Like so, people are still connected to Roger now that are from league because he's putting the content up. Whereas if he goes there and doesn't do that, I don't put content up. And the league kind of fan base remember him as one of the best fullbacks we've seen in a while, but they're not still connected to him. Yeah, it's an interesting conversation.
If I'm Matt Croker, I'm getting in KP's ear and saying, can we?
I reckon he is. I reckon
because he seems very switched on to me too, Matt.
He's such a good addition.
I didn't really know who Matt Croker was until I listened to that podcast. Yep. That's what made me go and watch him. And I don't think he's like a superstar player. He's a meat and potatoes front rower, but he's tough, and you know what you're going to get out of him every week. And yeah, if I was as close to KP as he is,
mate,
I'd be setting up the podcast for him every
100%.
I'll do it all for you for free. Just let me sit next to you and talk.
Absolutely, and the dynamic he added to that podcast was so good. Like that, the three of them working together. I totally agree. If I'm Matt Croker, I'm just like begging KP, please just give me an hour. Rock up this time. You sit down, you talk, you walk. That's it. You don't have to do anything.
Take the Hello Sport boys for example. If two players did that every week, game changer. Don't tell me there isn't as funny guys in the NRL.
There's plenty of funny guys. Like
that stupid as shit happens to consistent.
100%. And they can like take the piss out of themselves playing. And another guy that I think is actually hilarious, and he may not know it because he's just like naturally hilarious. Two guys, sorry. Alex Twal. I would listen to an Alex Twal podcast each week. Give me a 20-minute Alex Twal podcast each week. Just whatever you're thinking, bruh. Just tell me what you're thinking. I want to know. Is he not hilarious, man?
He's so funny.
Can I guess your other one?
You already know.
Is it Woodsy?
No.
No? Okay.
Toby Rudolph.
Oh, yeah, Rudolph.
Like, lock her in. Toby, give me a potty. Give me a 30-minute podcast with Woodsy. I like Woodsy too.
I thought Woodsy was great on your podcast.
He was fantastic. He was fantastic. But Alex Twal and Toby Rudolph, like Woodsy, like he's a pro. Like I absolutely agree. I think that he'll have a radio gig post-career, everything. But a guy like Rudolph and a guy like Twal, like these are just, there's something about them that you can't really put into context. Knights, look, probably...
Back to Knights.
Yeah, back to Knights.
Blackboard.
The concerning thing I have for Knights is their development really hasn't kicked on the way it should have, and I feel like it got gutted quite a bit ago, and they have never recovered. When you go back and you look at like who they've actually developed, like I think Latrell's from that area. I think Boyd Cordner is.
Yep.
Dan Gagai, is he? No, he's Queenslander.
Queenslander.
But anyway, they've got some of the people they've produced are absolutely insane, insane, but they don't seem to be able to bring them through. Do you think it's a concern?
Yeah, for sure. And like when you're involved in the Harold Matts and the SG Ball system, just about every team has a kid that you watch and you're like, fuck, he is tough. And they always say, oh yeah, he's from country Newcastle. But there's so many of them that come out of there that are just tough as nails and are such good footballers, but they just don't seem to, I don't know. Like you look back at whenever Newcastle's been successful, they're homegrown talents.
Yeah.
It is guys that have come through that entire system. I know it's easier said than done, and I know at the moment it's easier to say than it ever has been because of Penrith, but it is so hard to do.
Mate, that centre of excellence that Gut School got together, like it shows you how important those connections are to get the government funding. And obviously, I know they've got the Penrith Panthers, Leagues Club as well. That's a massive advantage. But like, yeah, that centre of excellence and the ability to be like, to go to these young kids and these young families and go, here is a centre of excellence. This is the pathway. It's real, because some people may be sitting there going, well, of course they go and say that to people. It's one thing saying it. It's another thing going, look, like this is how you play NRL. You come to centre of excellence, you play 16, 17, 18, we put you in the Knights gear. You know what I mean? We interact with the first grade. And maybe they're already doing that. But I feel like Penrith have truly, truly done that. Have gone like centre of excellence, the local area of people. That's the aspiration is the centre of excellence.
And if you're still laughing about Phil Gould's 5-year plan, just be prepared for the next 10 years. Yeah. The team that he set up is going to bully yours.
But like also like, okay, so he said 5-year plan, what, 9 years ago?
Yeah.
So he's made a grand final. They made a grand final and then won a premiership in 8 years. Yeah. Like, oh, fuck, sorry, bro. I was 3 years off. And now we have, not only did we go from a club that had 0 rep players, So, like some played for, Samoa and Tonga and all that kind of stuff. Not only did they go from a club that did that, they've gone to a club now with multiple To'o, Luai, Isaiah Yeo, Martin, Cleary, Api Coruscant. That's the most. Actually, you know what? That's the most in the NRL. Does that happen? And all of those guys, does that happen if they don't have the plan that Gus put together?
Mate, I would argue Penrith right now, there are 10 teams in this competition that I do not think can finish fifth. If Penrith finished fifth, I'd say it's almost a failure of a year.
Oh, 100%.
Like
100%.
that is the sort of situation that they are in at the moment.
Anything outside top four for me with Penrith is a bad year.
Yeah.
Is a year of like you truly did not. Now let's say they get a bunch of injuries, then you can explain it. But I agree. I'm putting them in that position of like right now they're not the same as Storm and Roosters because they don't have that history of like all those premierships. But if I'm going to put like, let's just cut that away. Let's cut that away and we look at like what is their squad right now, what's their system, and what's their potential. I do now have them with the Melbourne Storm, the Roosters, and Penrith.
If you were 18, you're coming to the NRL, you had a contract from Penrith and Melbourne, where do you go?
You'd strongly consider Penrith. Get to stay in Sydney. Nathan Cleary. Like 5 years ago, it's a no-brainer. Yeah. But now you look at it and go, like it's a tough call. It's a tough call. And so, yeah.
I'm going to tell you, I think I'm leaning to Penrith.
You're what?
I think I'm leaning to Penrith.
If so, Storm and Thingo off you right now.
Yeah, I think
Bellamy's sitting you down, looking across the table, going, "Mate, we'll win premierships."
I'll probably shit myself in, but mate, I reckon the Penrith are just in for such a good 5 or 6 years.
And it's also like they appeal to the young generation too. They're cool. They're hip.
If one of those Penrith boys, I don't want to get back on this, but if one of the Penrith boys grabbed a microphone and sat down, if Toto and Luai and Crichton grabbed a microphone,
I know, it'd be so interesting.
It's over.
It'd be so interesting, and it'd be absolutely that they've got so much character out there. It's crazy. It's crazy how quickly Penrith. And this is not to say like they are the same as the Roosters in Melbourne because they don't have the runs on the board like Storm and that. But when you look at them in a bubble of the last 2 years, I put them in there now. Like they've gone back-to-back grand finals. They've got a generational 7. I think that's. Is he going to be the greatest ever, or is he even going to be top 3? We don't know. But I think it's now clear he is generational.
And people say with Penrith, but they got the best juniors. It's like, you know what? They've had the best juniors for 20 years.
Yeah.
As have Parramatta.
What about Brisbane? They got Brisbane's had a whole state.
Like the steps between having the best juniors and putting them in first grade, like that is monumental. There's so many things that can go wrong there.
But also
that generally do go wrong.
The Storm have no juniors. Yeah. So it doesn't. It's not a one-to-one thing. Like just because you have the good juniors, it's just not a one-to-one thing. Storm have literally no juniors, and yet they're the most dominant.
I think people say, but they've got the juniors, and that's it. It's like you realise that at every single game, there's 15 scouts.
Yeah.
Watching it's vultures. They are getting picked off.
New Zealand have the whole country.
Yeah. And there's still a scout from every single team that lives in New Zealand, just in case.
Just in case. And like that's a whole country of extremely talented young players. So Knights, that's something I'd like to know more about. Like, what are they doing? What things are they putting in place? Like, because I can see it kind of at the Titans. I can see it at Brisbane. Like, as in, I can see the direction. I can see it at the Doggies. We can see it at Penrith. Tigers, even with Tim Sheen's there's a bit of direction now, in my opinion. Yeah. But they're also building that centre of excellence, which as well, pretty sure. Whereas Knights, like I haven't really heard much about like what is the plan forward. I haven't heard and maybe that's due to my ignorance. Maybe the information is out there. Let me know in the comments section if you guys are Knights fans and there are things being put in place.
I sort of feel like they're just reeling from Pearce still, to be honest with you, which shows how important halfbacks are. There's not many of them in rugby league that you want. Best case scenario, Pearce would have played for another 2 years. I still didn't feel like there was, yes, Jake Clifford's there, but Jake Clifford was dropped on their doorstep 6 months ago.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Knights are real.
If I would have said to you 18 months ago, we're relying on Jake Clifford for the Knights to be successful when he was...
Well, you'd say it's poor planning.
Yeah.
You'd say...
You'd also be like, how on earth has that happened?
Yeah. But if you said to me, we've got Mitchell Pearce who is still playing and he's developing Clifford, I'd say that's great.
Yeah,
that's a great plan. That's a great plan. And Phoenix Crossland's there as well. So look, I guess a good thing. Let's hope Bailey Hodgson turns out to be good. And Sasagi has had a bit of rats about him. So, but yes, that is us for the day. Guru, have you got any announcements? Or?
Nah, all good, mate.
All good. Make sure to subscribe to the Rugby League Guru on Instagram, Facebook, any good podcasting app. Make sure to grab a case of Bloke in a Bar, the official beer of sport. The official beer of sport. And as usual, I'll go and fuck myself. Thank you.